Assalamualaikum and very good morning. Dr. Nur Raihan, is it okay for us to start?
Yeah, sure, no problem. Okay.
Sorry.
All
Okay,
right.
okay, Doctor, kita nak start today. Can we
Yeah,
start?
sure. Yeah, I think
We
so.
cannot hear your voice, Doctor.
Oh, really? Okay, dengar ke? Everyone, ada dengar?
Jelas, Doktor.
Can't hear you.
Alright.
Ada dengar tak suara?
Saya dengar suara anda. Ke Puan Linda?
Okay, saya dah dengar dah suara Doktor.
Alright. Okay.
Okay, so we can start now. So before we proceed, okay, with the sessions, okay, so Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone. Okay, that's joining us this morning. So actually my name is Rajana Azinda binti Raja Aznam. So I will be the hosting for this program for today. So before we proceed, I would like to introduce our respected speaker. Okay, we are pleased to have with us today, okay, for this online session organized in collaboration between SGS, okay, and the library. Okay, we are honored to have Dr. Nur Raihan, okay, Cik Nawi as our speaker for today. Okay, Dr. Nur Raihan, Cik Nawi is a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Educational Study, Universiti Putra Malaysia. She holds a PhD in human resource development and has strong expertise in curriculum, instruction, youth development, and social entrepreneurship. Okay, her research interests also include digital learning, educational technology, and the integrations of artificial intelligence in education. She is actively involved in academic research and has published widely in areas related to teaching and learning, human capital development, and youth empowerment. She is passionate about advancing innovative educational practices and preparing for future-ready graduates. Okay, so without further ado, let us begin. So, Dr. Nurahan, the platform is yours right now. Okay?
Alright, thank you so much, Puan Linda. Okay, first of all, I would like to say thank you again to our SDS and also our library. Okay, in terms of inviting me to give a sharing in terms of qualitative data analysis. Okay, however, I don't want to go I don't want to start with a QDA or qualitative data analysis because I need to explain first in terms of our the basic foundation first before we go to data analysis because I believe that some of you are new in qualitative. Okay, may I know how many of you do not know in terms of what is qualitative? So maybe I will explain just a little bit in terms of what is qualitative research design. Okay, maybe you can give a thumb up so I can know that this is new for you. All right. So if let's say I look here, I can see that, yeah, some of you, okay, so some of you are new in qualitative, right? So maybe I will explain just a little bit what is research design in qualitative to make sure you understand before we go further, which is we go for the next step, which is a qualitative data analysis. Okay, so wow. Okay, so maybe I will start. Okay, thank you again, Puan Linda, in terms of already is what we call it, give an introduction. Okay, so yeah, my name is Nur Raihan Cik Nawi. I'm from Department of Professional Development and Continuing Education. I'm from Faculty of Educational Studies. Okay, so you can contact me if let's say you want to ask me anything. But again, if let's say I'm not reply your text or email, for example, maybe you need to spam. Okay, so this is like some info. Okay, before I start in term of to explain about qualitative data analysis, I will explain in term of qualitative approach. Okay, so for your information, in qualitative actually we have a five um approach. Okay, because you need to remember qualitative and quantitative totally different. Okay, so for those what we call it new in research, for example, mostly qualitative. In social science, actually, science, we have a quantitative, qualitative mixed method, and also competent design. However, by today, I just want to explain in terms of qualitative. So, for your information, in qualitative, we have a five approach. Okay, so you need to know that we have a grounded theory, ethnography, narrative, and phenomenological design, and also case study. So, how to know, yeah, how to know what we call it, maybe some of you, maybe I believe that you are master student and also PhD, so maybe you just wonder where to explain your qualitative part, or your what we call it, where to explain. So in chapter 3 we need to explain our research design. Okay, so we need to explain here. You need to explain in terms of which method that you want to use for your what we call it, to conduct your study. So then after that, you need to explain which approach you will use in your study. Okay, so this is what we call it research design, which is like where you need to explain your method. Okay, your at research design. Okay, next. Okay, so this is the difference between quali and quanti. Okay, so in terms of like how, okay, how you need to explain your research design at qualitative and quantitative. Maybe this one should be no problem. Maybe you can refer others thesis, for example, in terms of to know the table of content. Okay, so okay, from based on this slide, maybe you can get the idea in terms of what the difference between qualitative and quantitative. Okay, so for this one, for example, maybe you will get the idea, which is like for qualitative, what we call it, how we start our research based on qualitative. Actually, we use inductive approach, which is based on observation, based on interview, or based on document analysis, for example. You want to explore and you want to come up with a theory. So this is what we call is a qualitative, which is like you are dealing, what we call it, you want to come up something, you want to explore. And totally different with a quantitative, where you need to remember that for quantitative, this is more to deductive. What we call it, you want to test the theory. Okay, so that's why for quantitative, you have a theory, then after that you need to form um hypothesis, your RO, and also your hypothesis, what you want, what is your aim. Okay, then after that you want to confirm the theory. So this is the difference between inductive and also deductive, qualitative and quantitative. But today I will only what we call it, explain in terms of what is a qualitative. Okay, so this is a difference between quanti and quali for research design. As mentioned before, for qualitative, we have a five approach. However, we have a lot of approach, but again, this is what we call it. This is the basic thing. You need to know that in qualitative, we have a five or six. I will explain later why we have a five approach or why we have a six approach. Okay, so I believe that everyone already know what is research method. Maybe for this one, I just skip. Okay. All right. So for this one, I need to explain because I believe that some of you are new in qualitative. Maybe you are still wonder what is quali, what is quanti. Okay. So you need to remember that for qualitative, actually, why we use a qualitative, because what we call it, if let's say you just imagine that if let's say you want to collect data using a quantitative, that one more to structure, which is like what we call it, they have already fixed the answer. You need to choose which one best for you. However, for qualitative, actually this is what we call it, you want to explain, okay, in terms of the phenomenon, which is like for qualitative, we are not involved with numbers at all. Okay, so what we call it, certain phenomenon or certain cases, for example, we need to observe, we need to, what we call it, we want to understand. So for this phenomenon, what we call it, we cannot be understood by using quantitative because you to remember for quantitative, we use frequency, percentage, mean, score, right? So this is like relate with numbers. However, for qualitative, you collect your data only three method, which is interview, observation, and also wait for a while. Um, wait for a while. Okay. What we call it? Okay. Interview, observation, and also document analysis, which is only three method. So you need to remember for qualitative, how you collect your data, only three method. Interview, observation, and document analysis, which is we are not collect our data through survey. No, that one is a big no. Okay. So you need to remember that for qualitative, actually, this method actually, what we call it, why we choose a qualitative, because it's more appropriate for investigate individual or group phenomenon that involve with emotion, motivation, and empathy, which is like you cannot capture emotion or motivation or empathy, for example, through quantitative. But if it's a qualitative, you can ask them, okay, how are you today? For example, okay, if let's say in quantitative, which is like based on survey or questionnaire, for example, you can what we call it, maybe you just can take, okay, how are you today? Um, Maybe they have a scale, number 1 until number 5. But again, if a qualitative, you can ask, why you are not okay? Why you feel sad? Why you are not happy, for example? So this is what we call it, why we conduct qualitative, because we want to explore. We want to get more understanding. Okay? So I hope you guys already get the idea what is a qualitative. Okay, as I mentioned before, for qualitative, actually, why we conduct qualitative? Because we want to explore and understand in depth. So that's why for qualitative, we collect our data based on three methods, as mentioned before. Interview, okay, observation, and also based on document analysis, because we want to explore. All right. So this is what we call as qualitative method. Okay. So you get my idea, right? What is a qualitative? Tiba-tiba keluar alien. Mak risau. Alright. Okay, so this is what we call it as a qualitative. Okay, so far, everyone, are you clear? I hope that you guys are clear about this. Okay, so for your information, okay, maybe you just wonder, yeah. I believe that some of you refer your senior thesis for master or PhD thesis, right? So you need to remember that maybe you just wonder why, what we call it, why in qualitative, what we call it, when you read the thesis, for example, they mention about informant, respondent. But again, you need to remember that our supervisor or some lecturer, for example, we what we call it, in qualitative, we call our participant is informant. Okay, we call our participant is informant. For respondent, actually belong to quantitative. But again, you need to remember that we have different school of thought. Okay, we have a different school of thought. Maybe you need to, what we call it, get the information. I mean, maybe you need to discuss with your supervisor how to call your participant. But again, mostly what we call it, in my practice, how I call my participant in my study, I call them as an informant, and for respondent actually belong to quantitative. But again, you need to discuss with your supervisor. Okay, so as mentioned before, we have a 6 main qualitative design. Okay, as mentioned before, we have a 5, we have 6. Why? Okay, wait for a while, I forgot to bring my book. All right. Why we have a 5 or 6 approach in qualitative, you need to remember that this is actually belong in term of what we call it, I will explain later, okay? So as mentioned before, we have a grounded theory, ethnography, narrative, and phenomenological, and also case study. All right. So, what is a qualitative? Okay, qualitative is a umbrella term covering an array of interpret technique which seek to describe, decode, translate, and otherwise come to term with the meaning. So that's why what we call it not the frequency of certain more or less occur phenomenon in the social world. So you need to remember that qualitative, we involve with interpret. Okay, and then after that, we want to describe, we want to decode and also translate because our data from interview, from observation, and from the document analysis. Okay, so that's why we need to use interpret technique. Okay, all right. So why why we use a qualitative? Because for the first one is we want to clarify a situation and phenomenon when operative variable unclear. So maybe some of you will what we call it facing in term of like how wait for what? Okay, really sorry. I got a call from my dad. Okay. So we continue. Qualitative research is designed, okay, when you feel that some situation or phenomenon, your variable is unclear. Okay, so that's why what we call it happen. Okay, maybe you are not sure your variable, for example, maybe you need to choose a qualitative. Okay, then after that, if let's say you feel that you want to determine why and intervention has an effect, for example, or you want to define fresh way to look at over familiar problem, or you want to understand how task or policy or rule or other systemic element are perceived by participant, or you want to develop the theory. Okay, again, so this is like why qualitative design. Okay, so maybe you can try to yeah, I believe that for sure you guys already find you are early stage in terms of to develop your research proposal, for example. Okay, you already identify your problem, then what's next? Okay, if let's say you notice that your study is still new, or your what we call it your variable is still unclear, for example, maybe you need to choose a qualitative, but again, you need to justify why you choose qualitative. Okay. And after that, so this is a nature of qualitative. For the number one is for sure in terms of the purpose, we want to promote a deep and holistic understanding a particular phenomenon, which is why? Because you will explore. Okay, you need to remember qualitative more to explore because you want to understand the holistic. Okay, so this is what we call it the purpose of doing qualitative. Okay, maybe you will get the idea why qualitative more to inductive compared to qualitative. You want to test the theory, or we call it as a deductive. Okay. So maybe this one should be no problem in term of important of exploring qualitative topic. Maybe you should be get the idea, which is like you want to provide insight the complexity of common occurrence. Then after that, you want to get the specific concrete detail to guide understanding in particular setting. Then after that, you want to get into local meaning that activity and practice have for participant. And also you want to develop a comparative understanding of phenomenon. Okay, so this is what we call it, why we choose a qualitative. Okay, so this is the assumption of qualitative. Okay, for sure in qualitative occur in natural setting because you want to explore. You need to go there. Okay, and also for qualitative, we want to focus on experience, process, and meaning. Okay, and also ontological perspective of multiple reality. And also for number four, you need to remember, yeah, this is a very important. Okay, researcher as a main instrument. If let's say we mention about qualitative, okay, if let's say I'm asking you what is instrument, for sure you mention that instrument refer to what we call it survey or questionnaire, right? But again, in qualitative, researcher are the main instrument, which is you need to develop your RQ. For sure. You as a researcher, you are what we call it, you are a researcher, for sure you need to develop your RQ, right? Your RO, right? Then after that, based on your RQ, you need to develop your own interview protocol, which is based on your RQ. Then after that, after you develop your interview protocol, the next stage is you need to what we call it, collect your own data, which is you conduct interview, observation, and document analysis based on your RQ and based on your interview protocol. And after that, you need to you need to do data analysis, okay? And after that, for data analysis, you need to come up with a coding category and theme. So that's why in qualitative, instrument refer to researcher, which is like you as a researcher, you need what we call it, you are the main instrument. So you have to be careful how to explain researcher as a main instrument in your chapter 3. Okay, because I still notice that students still confused in terms of they mention about instrument. Okay, because totally different, yeah, as mentioned before. Instrument in quantitative more to questionnaire. However, in qualitative research, instrument refer to researcher. Okay, and again, for qualitative, data are not numbers. Okay, so this is what we call it, the characteristic for qualitative. Okay, for the next one is, maybe this is an example. Example for qualitative research, how teacher become expert in their field, the role of mentor in the career development of woman executive, how culture shape the learning activity of all the adult in Malaysia. So, if let's say you look at the example here, maybe you can get the idea, which is like you want to explore. You want, what we call it, you don't want to test the variable. This is like you want to explore how to become teacher, how teacher become expert in their field, for example. Okay, so this is an example of qualitative research. Okay, maybe you get the idea, which is like why qualitative more to inductive. Okay, okay, so this is example, quanti and quali. So if let's say we look at the title, for example, the relationship between type of learning activity of adult and geographical location. So based on this topic, we already get the idea. The relationship refer to correlation design. Okay, for information, yeah, based on our title, for your thesis title, for example, they have a what we call, they give you information in terms of which research design that you use, your variable, and also your location and also your population. Okay, so for this one, maybe should be no problem in terms of your title. But again, for qualitative, the title might be different. It can be like exploring a rural location shape the learning activity of adult, for example. Okay, maybe you get the idea in terms of different from quanti and quali. All right. Okay. So for the next one is for information, as mentioned before, for approach, how many approach that we have? Okay. If let's say based on this slide, we have 5 design. For number 1 is ethnography. The second one is narrative. The third one is phenomenological. And also we have a case study and also grounded theory. Okay. For this one, for your information, I'm refer to Creswell. Okay, so this is a Creswell book. Okay, sorry. Excuse me. So actually, I'm not doing TikTok shop and so on. Okay, I just want to share with you. So this is what we call it, this slide based on this book, Creswell. Maybe you can try to find this book, Creswell. Okay, so for Creswell, mentioned that for qualitative, we have a 5 approach. Okay, we have ethnography, narrative, phenomenological, case study, and also grounded theory. So how to know which approach suitable for you? Okay, how to know that which what we call it, which approach suitable for your study? For number 1, if let's say you're focusing on exploring the if let's say you are looking for exploring the shared culture of a group, might be ethnography suitable for your study. If let's say you want to exploring individual story to describe the life of people, maybe you can choose a narrative. Okay. If let's say you want to understand of the essence of the experience, maybe you can what we call it, choose phenomenology. And also if let's say you want to developing in-depth description and also analysis of a case or multiple cases, for example, maybe you can choose a case study research. Or if let's say you want to explore common experience of individual to develop a theory, for example, maybe you can choose a grounded theory. Okay, so this is what we call it. Okay, what we call it research approach. Okay, after you already decide you want to do qualitative, for example, you need to justify why you choose a qualitative. Then after that, you need to explain which approach for your study. Okay, so as mentioned before, according to Creswell, we have a 5. Okay, actually, you can refer any book as long as you can justify which approach that you want to use. Okay. However, if let's say you feel that, oh, doctor, when I read all these 5 approach not suitable with my study, so we have another option. Yes. Maybe you can refer to Merriam Tisdale. Okay, can you see? Okay, maybe they have a new version. Okay, we have a Merriam book. Okay, for information, Merriam book they have a 6 approach, which is the 6th one, what we call it the basic qualitative. So if let's say ethnography, narrative, phenomenology, or case study or grounded theory is not suitable with you, maybe you can refer Merriam book. Okay, which is you can use a Merriam because Merriam using, as mentioned before, a basic qualitative. Okay, so this is qualitative design and also okay, and the purpose. Okay, so this one I just explained just a little bit in terms of grounded theory research design, yeah. Okay, so for grounded theory, this is what we call it. If let's say you want to what we call it for grounded theory actually designed to obtain a rich picture of a quality of a social system under the study with the aim of improving the quality of the social system. Okay. For this purpose, for example, aspect relate to the social system are examined but be used as a reference in improving the quality of the social system in the future. So, if let's say you want to use what we call it this approach, yeah. So this is like what we call it the purpose using the grounded theory. Okay. So for this one, maybe not problem. I just skip for this one. Okay. Okay, if let's say you notice here, we have a conceptual framework for qualitative study. Okay, for your information, this is I need to declare, yeah. For qualitative, actually, we don't have a conceptual framework. As mentioned before, maybe we have a different school of thought. Okay, you need to remember, maybe based on my sharing today, I explain in terms of conceptual framework. However, for information, yeah, for qualitative, actually, we don't have a conceptual framework. However, you need to remember that your supervisor, your lecturer, for example, might be have a different school of thought. Okay? But again, I just share here in terms of how to explain because some supervisor, they will ask to student, okay, I want you do conceptual framework. Okay, because if let's say we learn in research method, for example, conceptual framework, actually, we just want to share the relationship, our variable. However, in qualitative, actually, we don't have a conceptual framework. If let's say your supervisor asks you to do conceptual framework, maybe this one will help you. All right, in terms of, okay, if let's say you ask me, I'm not using the conceptual framework. Okay, again, we have a different school of thought. I just share with you how to develop the conceptual framework for qualitative study. Okay, so maybe you can see that in terms of the context of preparedness, the need, the practice strategy. Okay, again, it depends on what we call it. Maybe you can discuss with your supervisor. But yeah, we have a different school of thought. If you say you ask me, in qualitative, we don't have a conceptual framework. Okay. Okay, so this is the process. If let's say you're using the grounded theory, you need to select the sample, okay, collecting the data, interview, observation, and document, collecting of the document. So this is we call as triangulation. Okay, later on I will explain what is triangulation. Interview, observation, and collect the what we call it, collect the document. So after that, you need to do coding. Okay, coding category and themes. So for coding data, I will explain for our next session, which is like by today, I will explain in terms of this. Okay. All right. So you can, and you need to analyze your data. Okay. Which is like you need to develop the theme. Okay. So you need to remember that in qualitative, your team should answer your research question. But this one, I will explain later. Okay, maybe should be no problem for that. So for the second approach, we have ethnography design. Okay, for this one, for this one, ethnography design, actually, the purpose we want to use ethnography because we want to describe and interpret the behavior and belief of a culture sharing group of people. Okay, so if let's say you want to what we call it if let's say you want to what we call it do research in terms of the culture, for example, communication style, lifestyle, religion, ritual, or language, or thinking style, or social relation, for example, might be you can choose ethnography design. Okay. Okay, maybe should be no problem for this one. Okay, maybe for this one, maybe you need to attend qualitative, basic qualitative. Yeah, I just want to share to get your idea. Okay. All right, so this is the process. Maybe you can see the what we call it the similarity in terms of data collection. Okay, for your information, for qualitative, we only involved with three method, which is like observation, interview, and collecting the document. Okay, so after that, you need to do coding, then analysis. For this one, I will explain in next slide. Okay. And the third one, we have narrative design. Okay, for this one, actually, for narrative design, um, the purpose using the narrative design because you want to write a story about life and experience of individual. It can be small group of people. Okay. So under this design, actually, you as a researcher, you want to explore the life of individual through their experience. For example, how to become teacher, for example, how to become a teacher. Okay. So maybe you can use narrative design. Okay. So might be no problem for this one. Okay, so this is example in terms of how you can display your data. Okay, if let's say based on your study to narrative. So this one I what we call it based on my supervisor uh analysis, Prof. Ismi. Okay, I just skip for this one and this one belong to my study. All right, in terms of narrative research process, as mentioned before, in qualitative, our collecting data, the same method, which is like we have interview, observation, and collecting the document. However, you need to remember that for this one, what we call it, however, you need to remember for narrative, mostly our document. A narrative document, actually, maybe it can be like more to live document, photo, a video clip, recording, and so on, personal document, letter, memo, and diaries. Again, this is like what we call it a sources for you you want to do analyze because you need to remember for narrative you want to explain about their life. Okay, so after that we have a coding and after that we have analysis. Okay, and for that one I will explain later. And the next one is we have phenomenological design. Okay. All right. So, phenomenological design refer to if let's say you want to describe an individual or a small group of people live experience concerning a special phenomenon. Okay, so this is what we call it phenomenon. If I notice that if let's say some student will choose, oh, my study using a phenomenological, again, you need to justify why you choose the phenomenon. Okay, again, later, once you already decide to do a quali, for example, then I already decide in terms of doing your approach. Again, you need still read the what we call it the textbook to justify why you choose. Okay, why you choose that approach. Okay, so maybe should be no problem for this one. In terms of research process, also the same thing in terms of like how to do data collection, interview observation, and collecting the document. Okay, maybe you just wonder, right? What is triangulation? Okay, maybe I will explain now. What is triangulation? Okay, in qualitative, triangulation is one of the tool to what we call it, how to validate your data. Okay, how to validate your data. So, is it must if maybe you just wonder, doctor, is it compulsory to collect our data based on in-depth interview, observation, and also document analysis? Okay, you just wonder like, okay, which example ya? Apa yang ada? Okay. So this is my remote control. I believe that you can see. This is my remote control, right? Remote control. Okay. Okay. What is triangulation? Okay, so you need to remember that, okay, for example, yeah, for this one, okay, the button, they have a display, and also they have a button, right? So this one, you just imagine this is your interview data. Okay, this is your interview data. At the back, okay, you will notice that they have a click here and they have a what we call it to put your battery here. So this is we call as observation. Okay, this is a call of observation. And if let's say you turn this one and then you will see that they have like, I do not know what is this. Maybe like LED something. Okay. So maybe this one consider as your what we call it, maybe this one can represent as a collecting your document. So what is triangulation data? You need to remember that if let's say you just collect your data based on the interview, you can see what we call it your data only display and the button. If let's say you conduct the interview session observation, you can see what we call it, they have a click here, and also you can what we call it, they have a place to put your battery. And if let's say you do data collection, you will see this part, which is triangulation, your data, you will see 360. This is what we call as triangulation. Because you need to remember that triangulation also can consider one of the tools to validate your data. Is it validate your data? Which is like you not just depend in term of interview data, but it will support with observation and also document analysis, which is when you conduct the qualitative, okay, you can see 360 data. You get what I mean in term of triangulation? Okay, faham ke? Boleh? Alright. Kalau boleh, I will proceed for the next one. Alright. Okay, then after that, we have a code.
Hello, Dr. Nur Raihan.
Yes, saya.
Okay, actually, there's a lots of questions at
Yeah.
the what we call that chat. You want it to be right now or later during the Q&A?
Later. Is it okay?
Later. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, later.
Thank you. Oh, itulah banyak pula ya. Kejap.
Any
Wow.
question? Apa people are eager to know to ask you.
Okay, maybe after I finish my what we call after I finish my
The first
first
session.
slide, then after that
Okay.
maybe I will read the question. Is it okay?
Everyone is
Alright.
okay? Everyone is
Yeah,
okay? Okay.
maybe. All right. Wow, they have
Okay.
a lot, yeah. Okay, I will
Yeah.
I will respond that one. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe it should be no problem in terms of the triangulation. I hope that you already get the idea why we have triangulation and so on. Okay. The next one is I will explain in terms of case study. Okay, the case study, what we call it, for the case study, we have some of the case study. I will explain in terms of the case study. Okay, for case study, actually, it can be like quanti and quanti. However, you need to remember. Okay, because for case study, we have, okay, maybe this one maybe should be no problem, right? I just skip, okay, because as mentioned before, for this slide, for introduction, I just want to explain in terms of your, what we call it, the approach only. It is easy for you if let's say we go for the next level. Okay, for case study, I just brief, just a little bit. Okay, for case studies, actually, as mentioned before, it can be quanti, it can be quali. Okay, case study may focus on individual, a group of individual, and also entire community, and use data collecting, uh, interview observation. Okay, maybe this one I just skip. All right. So as mentioned before, for qualitative, it can be conduct quali, it can be conduct quanti, it can be combined quali and quanti. It can be like a mixed method. We call it as a mixed method. Okay, so we have a case study, intrinsic case study. Okay, so for this one, refer to qualitative. Okay, intrinsic case study. Okay, then after that, instrumental case study. Okay, for this one, if let's say they mention about the instrument, maybe you need to imagine that this is a relate with what we call it, it will relate with quantitative. Okay, to understand a theory. Okay, if let's say they mention about the theory, you need to remember this is more to deductive. Okay, so this is a collective case study. So as mentioned before, it can be like combination, yeah. Okay, it can be like combination for this one. All right, so okay. Then after that, we have exploratory case study. Okay. All right, then we have exploratory case study. Okay, maybe this one you need to learn later. Okay. Okay, so this is as I mentioned before. Okay, for this one, what we call it, this table actually based on Presswell. Okay, maybe this one will help you in terms of to decide, okay, which approach suitable for your study. Is it narrative? Is it phenomenology? Is it a grounded theory, ethnography, and also case study? Okay, so if let's say, okay, focus in terms of exploring the life of individual phenomenology. If let's say you want to understand the essence of experience, grounded theory in terms of developing the theory, grounded, and also ethnography to describe and interpret the culture sharing group. And for case study, we want to develop in-depth description and analysis of the case of multiple cases. Okay, so this is what we call it, your approach. Okay, your approach. Maybe you can refer this slide. Okay, maybe you can what we call it, refer in term of the type. Is it focus and also type of problem. So this is will help you. Okay, this one will help you in term of to decide which approach suitable for your study. Okay. All right. So if let's say you notice over here also data collection, yeah, we have interview, document analysis, and also observation. Again, you need to justify in terms of which data collection that you use in your study. Okay, if let's say in your study only use a two method, for example, you cannot declare how you want to validate your study using triangulation. I will explain later. All right. So this is the what we call it, the difference between approaches. Okay. All right. So this is in qualitative step. Okay, why? If let's say you ask me, okay, for information, yeah, before this I don't like qualitative. I feel that qualitative is very hard for me. Can you imagine during I did my PhD, I need to change from quantitative to qualitative. I need to amend my, what we call it, I need to amend my my proposal from quantitative to qualitative. Before this, we don't have a lot of expert in qualitative. Yeah, can you imagine how struggle I am? But again, I already fall in love with my what we call it. I already fall in love with qualitative. So believe me, qualitative is very enjoy. If let's say you understand the flow, if let's say you understand the process, okay. So if let's say what we call it, maybe I believe that as a student, you feel that you want to GOT, you want to finish early, right? So if let's say you look at my slide right now, why some students feel that quantitative is very easy for them because very linear, which is like after you decide the problem, you do literature, then after that you what we call it, set your RO, RQ, and also hypothesis. You set the operational definition and so on. You already find your instrument, okay? Then after that, you get the ethical approval, JKUPM for example. Then you do data collection. You do data collection, you just distribute your questionnaire in 1 month, 2 months, for example. Then after that, you just key in your data in SPSS, for example. Then after that, in 1 second, your result already get it. Okay. So this is why some student feel that quantitative is very easy because yeah, easy, very linear, right? However, this is the reality of qualitative, cyclical. Okay. You need to backward and so on. I will explain later. Okay. So this is like what we call it, the real world of qualitative. All right. Okay, but again, to be honest, qualitative is very enjoy. You are explorer. Okay, if let's say we have a Dora the Explorer, right? So this is the same, what we call it, Raihan the Explorer. Okay, something like that. So this is what we call it. You as a qualitative, you are explorer. Kalau what we call it, what can what we call it? Give an example. All right. So. Okay, for a good practice for this one, I will explain later. Okay. In term of a good practice in QDA, or I think I can explain for this one. It's easy for you to get the idea before we go for QDA. Okay. So this is a good practice in QDA. What is a good practice? Because you need to remember that certain student, okay, what we call it, they feel that they want easy to get the data. In 1 week, they go interview all informant. However, we have a good practice in QDA, which is like, okay, which is like, okay, wait. For example, for data collection, for number one, what we call it, when you want to do data collection, maybe you can imagine. This is your first informant. Okay, you go to field, then after that you what we call it, you do data collection for first informant. Then after that, you're going home, for example, you need to do transcribe. Okay. Then after that, you do open coding. What is open coding? I will explain later in QDA. Then after that, for the next stage, what you need to do, go back to what we call it, you need to do data collection again for second informant. Okay, for second informant. Then after that, the next step, which is like you need to do transcribe again. Then after that, you do open coding. Okay, then after that, for this one, you can compare category. Okay, again, I will explain this one later. Okay, and then after that, after you develop the category, you need to go to third one, which is like third informant. Okay, for this part, you need to repeat again the next step, which is like doing transcribe, open coding, and category. Okay, what is category? I will explain later in terms of to get your understanding. Okay. Okay, if let's say, if redundant data is category and no new information, you can stop data collection. If still have a new information, you need to continue data collection until data is saturated. Okay, so maybe you just wonder why qualitative our informant or our participant in study, the numbers are small because our sample size in qualitative based on data saturation. Okay, based on data saturation. So maybe I believe that you guys already read the article or what we call it, read the thesis, for example, you can compare why qualitative, our sample size is small compared to quantitative. Okay, because we want to explore. So our numbers of participant or our sample size actually based on our data saturation. So this is what we call it as a qualitative. All right. Then after that, if let's say you feel that your category already, what we call it, already no new information, already repeated or redundant finding, for example, so you can stop your data collection. Then after that, okay, you need to develop your team. If let's say if no new information, you can stop data collection and you need to grouping category to develop a team. Okay, so why in qualitative, you as a researcher, you are the main instrument because you have a power to stop data collection. You have a power in terms of what we call it, you need to come up with your category, what we call it, you need to come up with your coding, your category, and your team. So that's why in qualitative, you as a researcher, you are the main instrument. I believe that you guys already get the idea why, what we call it, why in qualitative instrument refer to researcher. Okay, so in terms of how many sample size, how to naming your team, how to develop your interview protocol, everything based on researcher. Okay, you get it? Okay, so for this one, I will explain later. Okay, we have a coding, category, and team. For this one, I will explain later. Okay. Okay, so this is what we call it as a coding. Can you imagine? This is the transcribe. Okay, then after that, you just what we call it. When you read the transcript, make sure your research question beside you. Then you can label the keyword, answer your research question. Okay. So this is an example for coding. Okay. Thank you for session one. Okay, I believe that, wow, 9:57, yeah. So, all right, so I already finished my first session, 1 hour, so we have another 3 hours. So, I need to read all the comment first. Okay, I need to start dekat mana ya?
Uh, Doktor, actually kita dah sum up jugalah untuk
Okay,
yang question ni juga. Okay, okay, we already list out for you. So I read it for you, and then you can scroll also lah dekat chat tu. Okay, the first question
okay.
from Sabrina Hashim.
Hmm.
Doctor, can you elaborate on ontological perspective of multiple realities? That one from Sabrina Hashim.
Okay, Sabrina, if let's say you want to mention about ontological epistemology and also anthology assumption on the study, maybe that one better because as mentioned before, for this part actually I tak share pula. Okay, I forgot to share in term of the onion perspective. Okay, ontology that one in term of reality, for example. Then after that, how to come up with the uh, what we call it based on the perspective, the philosophy. But again, as mentioned before, I just share the approach first because my what we call it, I want sharing today in term of like how to what we call it, how to analyze your data, qualitative data. So maybe for that ontology, epistemology and also anthology assumption, maybe you can refer in term of the what we call, you can read nanti for that one in term of the basic thing, in term of what we call it, the basic thing. Okay, boleh Sabrina?
Is it okay, Sabrina? Okay, so we go for number 2 question from Adam Junior. We can choose more than one research approach for our thesis writing. Example, I choose case study and narrative.
Mana Adam? Kejap kat
Adam
atas ni.
atas lagi. Apa ni? From the beginning.
Okay, kejap,
Adam
kejap.
Junior.
Uh,
Because so many questions.
okay, it's okay. Okay, for your information, Adam, you can combine your approach, yeah. Again, you can combine case study and also narrative, right? But again, you need to justify why you want to combine. Should be no problem. All right. Before this, I also have a problem in terms of to choose which one is the best for my study. That time maybe I want what we call it. Maybe that time I want to choose narrative and phenomenology. Then after that, my co-supervisor mentioned that yeah, you can combine. But again, in research, you need to justify why you want to combine. Should be no problem.
Yeah, I think Adam already gives thumbs ups there.
All
Okay,
right.
and then we go again from Sabrina. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Doctor, can we get you to share on ontological,
Oh, this one, yeah.
epistemological, and axiological assumptions on a study?
Okay,
Thank
maybe
you.
this one, what we call it, already explain later. I mean, already discuss later.
Okay. Okay, and then from Rabia, we have a conceptual definition. Is it correct?
Okay,
I'm not really understand what is the questions about.
okay,
But Rabia asking, we have a conceptual definition. Is it correct?
okay. For Rabia, I noticed that. Wait, I noticed that question. Okay, we have conceptual definition. Okay, Rabia. Okay, for information, this one belong to chapter one, right? Want to mention about chapter one? Is it?
Whether Rabia is
Yes, doctor. Yes.
So this
okay.
one refer to your chapter one, is it?
Yes, yes, you're right.
Okay, for chapter one, I believe that for this one refer to definition of term. Again, Rabia. Again, yeah, you need to remember, we have different school of thought. Okay, maybe your supervisor and me, we have a different school of thought. For your information, in chapter one, mostly for qualitative, we only term definition of term, which is like you want to what is your term. So we are not used for conceptual definition, but we just use definition of term. Okay, maybe some of the what we call it, some supervisor, they will mention that, oh, you still need conceptual definition and you still need have a operational definition. But again, definition of term in qualitative actually belong to operational definition. Okay, for conceptual definition, actually we use from others author. But again, your definition of term belong to in your study. For example, youth. Youth refer to what in your study? Okay, get it?
Is it okay, Rabia? You get it? Did you
Yes,
get
doctor,
it?
I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so now we go to number 5.
Sensor, rupanya faham. Sensor aircon. Okay, terima kasih.
Okay, number 5 from Muhammad Khairul Domadi. Okay, doctor, could you suggest the best method, mix and quali, if I want to study about the impact of the implementations of kad pekerja madani?
Okay, for this one, in terms of suggestion, maybe this one you need to remember. If let's say you ask me, maybe I'm not understand the fully of your research. So better again, you need to justify which one is best for you. Is it a quali or is it a for mixed method? If let's say you go mixed method, for example, maybe you can see the clear picture because you combine quanti and quali, for example. Maybe you can start with a quali first, then you want to confirm with quantitative. Should be no problem. But again, you need to know once you already decide your problem, for example, then after that you can go in down in term of to set your RO and RQ. Then based on your RO and based on your RQ can help you in term of to decide which method suitable for your study. Is it quali? Is it mixed method, for example?
Okay,
Again,
actually, Xian Sheng Wei actually already give opinion about that question. Depends on your problem statement RQ
yes.
and RO.
Yeah,
Something like that.
correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
Xiang
thank
Sheng.
you so
Thank you
much.
so much, Xiang Sheng, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so we go to number 6, question number 6. Doctor, I am choosing mixed method for my research. This is from Nurul. But how do we know that we should start with qualitative or quantitative first?
Okay, again, Nurul, this one, if let's say you want to developing a framework again. So if let's say you want to developing a framework again, before you want to decide which one, is it a mixed method, mixed method, is it you want to develop the quali first or quanti first based on your RO and
Ada
or
lagi ke
your
Alia? Dah tak ada
RQ.
dah.
So Nurul, your answer sama dengan Khairul tadi.
Dia Nurul punya.
Khairul. Yep. Okay, so you
Okay.
need to develop your RO, develop your RQ first, then after that you can look at which one first.
Okay. Okay, so we go to question number 7.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's another questions ke Alia? From
Okay,
Nurul.
macam Sabrina mentioned, the case study slide explanation is going a bit too brief. Of course, if let's say you want to know better, you need to join my research method class. So my student know how, what we call it, I will explain very detailed in term of that one. Because
Yeah,
as I
because this,
mentioned before, this one just in term of like comprehensive guide to QDA actually.
yeah,
Alright?
yeah, yeah. Okay, by the way, from Nurul, by the way, I am developing a framework. Is it, this is
Yeah.
from Nurul again.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nurul, again, this one you need to refer your RO and your RQ. If
Okay.
let's say in term of like what we call it because they have a what we call it, they have a different in term of like why you start quali first, then after that you want to do a quanti. Okay, if let's say that one if let's say you start with a quanti first and then after that a quali for the second phase, they have a difference. So that's why you need to develop your RO and RQ, then after that you can know which one should start first.
Okay, so we go for number 7. Okay, Muhammad Adila. Doctor, is there a minimum numbers of informants for a qualitative study? What's the recommendation number of informant that I should have so that my study is valid?
Okay, for this question, actually, minimum numbers actually, this is a very subjective, yeah. As mentioned before, when I share the slide in term of your sample size is based on your data saturation, but again, they have a study in term of, for example, if let's say for phenomenology for case study how many sample size they have a minimum, okay, they have, but again it depend in term of how you want to justify in term of how many sample size in your study. Okay, tak akan tetapi, but again you need to remember your sample
I
size,
boleh
you cannot
bagi
you
attendance lah.
you
Attendance.
cannot what we call it however you need to remember that your sample size you cannot decide early because how to know our sample size are based on what we call it based on uh data saturation. So this is the keyword what we call it you need to remember. Okay, but again maybe in term of how you want to write your research proposal, for example, yes, you can give numbers for your study and you need to back up or depend in term of data saturation. Which one is come first? Okay, for example, in this study, the informant will around 10, for example, 10 informant or based on data saturation or what we call it, or which one is come first. Okay.
Okay. Is it okay, Muhammad Adila? Is it answer your questions? Okay, so we go for number 8. Okay, from Aurang Zaid, what tools used for data analysis?
Okay.
Hmm.
What tools used for data analysis? Okay.
Hmm.
For this question, I will explain later.
Okay,
Our second session.
session. Okay.
Okay, because for your information, tools for data analysis actually, again, we have a software, we have a manually, but again, for this session, I will share you the, kokek terus, Faizul, Mr. Anwar. Okay, okay. So for this session, I just share with you manual because if let's say you do not know in term of using the manual, COCAT, coding, category, and theme, you will suffer if let's say you use the software later. So for me, better you know the manual. Then after that, if let's say you want to use software, should be no problem. If let's say you ask me which one is better, you still can graduate if let's say you are using manually. No problem. Because again, you are researcher, you are the main instrument. You need to remember that. Okay?
Okay. So number 9 from Nur Imanina. Doctor, do we have theoretical framework for qualitative study?
Yes, Imani, now we should have. Okay, because we are in UPM. Okay? Maybe you what we call it, based on my sharing, I mentioned about inductive, right? Based on observation, then after that we want to develop the theory, right? So even we want to develop the theory, okay, the purpose of a qualitative or the purpose of inductive study. So you need to remember that even we want to explore, we still use theory just to support our study. Okay? If let's say for quantitative, we use a theory to test our study. Okay? So yes, for qualitative, we have theoretical framework.
Okay, so number 10 from Hazwati. Doctor, could you explain again in details of the coding as what you showed, as what you showed the example just now?
Okay, for that one, I will explain later for the next session.
Okay, the second session. Okay,
Uh,
from Victor, this is the last one, number 11. Okay, how do we minimize bias in qualitative research? Bias.
Okay, how do we minimize bias in qualitative research? So that's why we have a valid what we call, we have method in term of to make sure we not only, maybe this one you can use triangulation, okay, as mentioned before, in term of remote control, which is like you cannot depend in term of interview session only, but again based on your observation and also based on your document analysis, which is like you can minimize your bias. All right.
Okay, so I think this one is not mentioned here, but I think one of the three students that I cannot remember, they are asking if they can have your slide presentation after
Okay.
this session or cannot.
I will give to Mr. Linda. I
Ah,
mean, Puan Linda later.
okay, okay. So let's answer all your questions. I think all the participants. So, Doctor, you want to proceed or you want to take a break? Take 5 or want to
Wait.
proceed? Is it
Kejap
okay?
yeah, I think I want to take break, but I want to read the question first. Just nak
Okay,
habis dah ni. Kejap ya.
okay. So now we take a break 5 minutes only, and then after that, doctor, you can definitely just start
Okay.
again if you want to start.
For
Okay.
Atika, conduct document analysis using therefore the study rely on document analysis. Okay. In term of this one, if let's say you just using the document analysis only, so in term of validation and reliability, I will explain later because I will touch also in term of that part. Okay. How? Which part if let's say only document analysis? Okay, another seminar I heard about the speaker. The meaning of the triangulation must be at least three collision itself. Angle is the mandatory to have. Okay. For Puan Rosna, Miss Rosna. Okay, for this one, why we have at least three data collection, as mentioned before, maybe this one to avoid you just focusing on interview session only. If let's say you have interview observation and document analysis, for example, your data is 360. You can view, oh, ini remote control. Oh, this is remote control, for example. Okay. Okay, for theoretical framework also already explained, which is
Okay,
like
doctor, there's more questions coming. Okay. So
mm,
from Atika, are you you already answered right just now? From Atika, I'm conducting a
um,
document analysis just now.
yeah, already.
Okay.
So
So
I
from Rosna,
already.
okay, and then from Sarah,
Uh,
doctor, what are common mistakes students make in data analysis that I should avoid?
okay,
You have
later.
to
That
choose.
one I will explain later. Common
Okay.
mistake, yeah.
So
Okay, I will comment later. I will apa answer later. But again, please remember this question. Okay, Sarah.
so
Yes. Okay.
I will check.
I thanks for the
Habis lah.
workshop. Later the and recording from us. After 1 hour, I have a
Ni.
class. Okay, dah ada kelas. Okay. Okay,
Dekat
doktor.
mana? Dekat sini. Chan.
Okay, for you, Poi Quan, if let's say I correct your pronounce your name, for you, maybe what you need to know, again, we cannot decide here. Better, my suggestion, please get a Creswell book. Okay, we have Creswell here. Okay, I'm not selling this book, but again, will help you a lot. Okay, in terms of to decide which approach suitable for your study, because it's not easy only what we call it. This is based on my experience when I want to decide which approach suitable for my study, I need to discuss what we call it, my supervisor during that time, Prof. Latif asked me, okay, Raihan, you need to read the book, you need to decide which one is suitable for you. Then after that, we have a what we call it meeting, community meeting. Then I give justification why I'm using narrative, why not phenomenology. All right.
From Chan. Doctor, can we say that we have both theoretical frameworks and conceptual framework in Quali?
Okay, for this one, as mentioned before, again, it depends on your supervisor. Because we have, if let's say you ask me, in qualitative, we only use a theoretical framework, but no for conceptual framework. Because why? As mentioned before, conceptual framework actually, the purpose conceptual, actually you want to show your variable relationship. In qualitative, we don't have variable because we focus on subject. We want to focus on phenomenon, for example. Right? All right. I think okay. Okay, I think I want to take break for 5 minutes. After that, we will continue for the next session, which is a qualitative data analysis. Is it okay? Okay, take break for 5 minutes. Thank you. Okay, before we start, okay, I just want to know, Sabrina, are you still here? If let's say I will share you in terms of ontology, zoology, and also uh, what we call it, in terms of to explain what exactly on ontology. All right, okay, Sabrina, you are still here. Okay, I will share you. Okay, because for information, I'm also instructor for research method class. I will share you in terms of my sharing in my class. Okay, so I will go to ontology where. Hmm. All right. So for this one, okay. For this one, I will explain in term of the what we call it. What is ontology, epistemology, and also zoology? Okay. So this is the basic thing you need to know. Ontology refer to the study of the nature of reality. So what is the reality that the researcher want to explore and how? So I believe that right now you already get the idea what you want to focus on, what you want to do. Okay, so that one refer to ontology. What the nature of reality. Then after that, if let's say we go to the epistemology, so this is like what can we know about reality? So is it what is the what we call it, the ontology, the reality that they available to explore? Is it for you? They have ability what we call it, they have a ability to explore and how to reach it. All right. If let's say we go to zoology, so this is like your aim, the aim of your research, and research a little less attention. So this is zoology refer to how, what is your aim. Okay. And this one refer to RO, RQ. Then after you already have RO and RQ, for example, then you need to set your method. How you are going to go about your research. So that's why very important. When you want to start your research, you need to start with your problem first. Based on your problem, then after that, you can see that you need to what we call it, after you identify your problem, you need to go to your RO and your RQ. Then after that, then you can decide your method. You get it? Okay. All right, Sabrina. Okay, I believe that maybe we can start for the second session. I hope that you are still okay. All right.
I
Thank.
think they are okay, doctor, because there's more coming.
Oh, they are
There's more
moving.
coming.
All right. So maybe I will start for the next session. I will start with the next session. Okay, wait. I need to share my screen first. Kat mana screen saya? Okay, sini. All right, so this is for next session. I will start around 10:28, around 10:30. Okay, so for this one, for the next session, I will explain in terms of data qualitative QDA, qualitative data analysis. As mentioned before, for this part, I will explain in terms of method to collect data. Already explained to you, we have a interview, observation, and also document analysis. At the same time, I will guide you in terms of the basic thing, what we call as a manual, how to do coding, category, and themes. Okay. So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay. So, this is what we call it our topic today. Okay. A comprehensive of qualitative data analysis. Okay. So, after my sharing, I hope that you guys already get the idea in terms of what is tools in qualitative. Okay. Which is like, as mentioned before, we have interview, protocol, observation, and document analysis. Then you can explain in terms of the procedure, QDA. We have a coding, category, and theme. And also, I will explain also in terms of the concept of validity and reliability. So this is, some of you will get the idea in terms of, if let's say you just use one method in terms of collect your data. Okay. So, in qualitative, we only have 3, what we call it, data collection. Interview, oh, really sorry, I have a, what we call it, a spelling error here. Okay, we have interview, observation, and document analysis. That's it. We don't have a survey because you need to remember our study collect data based on interview, observation, and document because you want to explore. Okay, you want to Dora the Explorer. Okay. All right, so I will explain in terms of in-depth interview or interview first. Okay, so you need to remember that what is interview? Okay, interview refer to a conversation between researcher and informant, which is you want to focus on informant perception of life, of their experience, for example, and also express in her or his own word. So that's why in qualitative, you will involve with wording, verbal. All right. So for information, we have 2 type of interview. For the first one is conduct one-on-one, and also we have focus group discussion. Okay, again, they have a pro and con on that. Conduct one-on-one and also focus group discussion. But again, it depend on you. Okay, it depend on you. Okay, next. And the next one is, so this is what we call it definition of interview. Okay, however, you need to remember that for interview model, we have a 3 type of interview model. We have structured interview, semi-structured interview, and also non-structured interview. So for structured interview, maybe you will notice that you will have a what we call it experience. Someone call you, hi, I'm from blah, 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 blah. Okay, can I ask you some question? You just answer yes or no, or based on the what we call it, the question or the answer, for example. So again, that one we call as a structured interview. So actually for this one, we try to avoid lah. Okay, we try to avoid. However, for qualitative, actually, we are using semi-structure. Why semi-structure? Because you have interview guide. Okay, you have interview protocol or interview guide. All right. So what is semi-structure? Okay, semi-structure refer to interviewer use interview guide developed around the issue central to the research question. Okay, so for semi-structure, what is interview guide? Okay, maybe you just wonder what is interview guide, what is interview protocol. Actually, interview protocol, interview guide are the same thing. Okay, so in terms of how you name it, how you give the term. Okay, so how to develop your interview protocol? For information, once you already develop your RQ, okay, your interview protocol based on your RQ. Okay, so your interview protocol based on your RQ. What is interview protocol? What is interview guide? Okay, this is interview guide or interview protocol refer to a set of question which is like you want to ask your informant. Okay, based on your research question. All right. So interview protocol or guide, a list of topic without fixed wording and fixed ordering of question. And also, this is what we call it as a semi-structure. I believe that if let's say you go to what we call it, when you read the article, for example, or you read the thesis, qualitative, for example, you will notice that they will mention, okay, in this study, using a semi-structure. What is semi-structure? As mentioned before, this is what we call it, interview guide or interview protocol, which is like you have a set of question you asking, you will ask your, what we call it, your informant. Okay, in term of what we call it, maybe you ask in term of what their favorite food, for example, and after that, maybe your informant or your participant will answer their favorite drink. Okay, so that's why for this one, what we call it semi-structure, which is like you are allowed in term of which one they will asking first or answer first. Okay. Okay, so that one is semi-structured. Then after that, we have non-structured interview. So for this one, no formal interview schedule and question. So this is a minimal control conversation towards a researcher. Maybe for this one, like you just give a topic. Okay, what you want to discuss. For example, why you choose UPM for your why you choose UPM for your master and PhD journey, for example. So I just give one question, then after that you can discuss. Okay, so this is referred to non-structured interview. Okay, for qualitative, for your thesis, for your research, mostly we are using semi-structure. Okay, so we use a semi-structure. All right. Okay, maybe should be no problem for this one. I will go for the next one. Okay, for what is in-depth interview? Okay, for in-depth interview actually, for in-depth interview actually we refer to a probing process. What is probing process? For example, I'm asking, okay, what is your favorite food? Okay, who want to volunteer? What is your favorite food?
Can I volunteer?
Okay, Linda, boleh.
My favorite is nasi ayam, chicken
Okay,
rice.
okay. Why chicken rice?
Nice, very what we call it Malaysian food,
Okay,
chicken, something like that.
okay. So when asking Puan Linda what favorite food, what her favorite food, he mentioned about chicken rice. After that I'm asking why chicken rice. So this is referred to probing process, which is like when you conduct the interview, you need to ask your informant why and why and why, because we want to get the rich data. If let's say Puan Linda just mentioned because of Malaysian food, because of delicious, you have to be careful on that. So in term of you want to probing, okay, uh, why you mention about that food is delicious, for example. Okay, so you need to ask and ask and ask. Okay, so that one we call as probing process. Okay, if let's say you just can you share about your favorite drink? After, if let's say you just what we call it, if let's say in term of your session, interview session, you just asking what is your favorite food, and then after that, Polinda just mentioned nasi ayam. Okay, what is your favorite drink? Okay, Polinda, what is your favorite drink?
Milo ice.
Milo. Milo ice. Oh, ada ice. Okay, so maybe if let's say you just ask, okay, the next question, where you work,
Library.
library, for example. Can you imagine if let's say no probing process, you will not explore. You will not get the rich data. Okay? So this is what we call it in-depth interview. Based on your question, you're asking. Based on their answer, maybe you can try to probe to get more and more. Okay? But again, please remember, follow your research and what we call it, follow your interview protocol. Okay, if let's say your what we call it, your informant already go beyond, please, okay, please what we call it, guide your informant to answer your interview protocol again. Okay, so in the interview it can be structured, semi-structured and non-structured format, but again in your study, for example, for thesis, for your research, we are using semi-structure. Then after that we have for in-depth better lah ya. If let's say you ask me which one is better, for me better face to face rather than focus group discussion. But again, if let's say you have a what we call it, you have experience conduct the face to face, for example, maybe should be no problem. If let's say you want to conduct using the focus group discussion, but again they have like challenge doing that. Okay. And then okay, involve repeated interview with the same respondent or same participant. Yes, sometime based on your data. Okay, maybe you need to remember that sometimes your participant or your informant, for example, they are introvert. Sometimes they feel that they are scared. They are scared to share anything about. Yeah, so that's why, okay, that one I will explain later why. Okay, so you have to be careful in terms of that. Okay, then after that, in-depth interview for sure rely on verbal, and also it can be, as mentioned before, it can be like individual. Okay, so they have a pro and cons if let's say you conduct individual or FGD or focus group discussion, right? So for the next one, so this is the interview structure. Okay, this is like as mentioned before, what we call it semi structure and so on. I will skip this one. Okay, how to do your interview protocol? As mentioned before, your interview protocol, you need to become as what we call it. They are based on your research question. Okay, they are based in terms of research question. Okay, so it can be like closed-ended question or open-ended question. All right, so this is the step before, what we call it, before conducting the interview. Before you're conducting the interview, you need to decide. It's not decide. You need to decide early in terms of who you will interview. Then how many informant or participant you will be interviewed. How many interview session will you conduct? How long should you allow for your interview? And where do you conduct the interview session? Okay, maybe this one you feel that this is a what we call it very what we call it, oh, do we need to know everything about this? Yes, very. What we call very important, yeah. In terms of like who will you interview? I believe that once you already decide to conduct your study and so on, that's why in your research proposal, for example, you already decide in terms of how many. I mean, in terms of like you cannot decide, but you can put a numbers, okay, or depend on your data saturation. So maybe you already can get the maybe you can start in terms of listing the potential informant, for example. Okay. Okay. So then after that, how many interview session you will conduct? So this is like sometime maybe in qualitative we have a pilot study. But again, what the difference between pilot study, qualitative and quantitative? For qualitative, for pilot study, actually, why we conduct pilot study in qualitative? Because we want to make sure our interview protocol is easy for us asking towards our informant, and also we as a researcher to get what we call it skill to interview. Because later on, when you do data collection, for example, you will notice that, ya Allah, why I'm asking this question? Why I'm asking the same question? Because you are not noticed, and also maybe that time also you are nervous. Okay, so why? Okay, what the different? Okay, what the different in term of pilot study in quali and quanti? For qualitative, for our pilot study, the data we can use in our data. What we call it? That one can consider, what we call it? We can use that one in our data. Macam nak cakap For pilot study, we can use that information for our finding. However, for quantitative, for pilot study, we cannot use for that data. Okay, because we want to, what we call it, to confirm the instrument is valid. Okay, for pilot study, we can use that data in our finding. Alright. So, okay. So, as mentioned before, because our pilot study in qualitative, we can use our data as our data. So, it depend on you in term of how to mention in your study. It can be like one or two pilot study, for example. But again, that data you can use in your study. Okay. Okay. What is pilot study? Okay, what is pilot study? Pilot study, as mentioned before we conduct the actual study, for sure you are novice researcher, for sure you are new researcher in qualitative, right? You are nervous in terms of to conduct your interview. So why we do a pilot study? Because we want to, what we call it, we want to see in terms of our interview protocol, we can use or not. We can use or not. It easy for us to asking our informant or not? It easy for them to answer our question or not? Okay, because you need to remember that our interview protocol based on our research question. Our research question to academic writing. All right. So for example, you want to ask, okay, for example, your research question is you want to know what are UPM student in term of their favorite food, for example. Okay. Can you imagine if let's say you collect data at village, okay? For sure you need to follow their what we call it, their level, for example. Makcik, makcik, can you explain in takkan? Can you imagine if what we call it? Can you imagine if let's say you want to interview village people, for example? Can you imagine? Okay, auntie, can you explain to me how to make a nasi lemak? Okay, so that's why you need to remember that sometimes explain very high for them. Okay, so in term of when you do pilot study, you can do like, okay, makcik, how you cook nasi lemak, yeah? In term of the question also totally different in term of what we call it based on your interview protocol. So this is what we call it why we need do a pilot study in qualitative, because based on the question, is it for them what we call it we want to test, okay, we want to look at our interview protocol. It easy for us to asking their question, and our informant, it easy for them to understand our question or not. All right. Okay, maybe for this one I will okay, maybe for this one I will later, nanti saya hanyut. Okay, saya hanyut, I will explain this later. Because I will focus my slide first, then for the question later nanti saya risau ni. Nanti saya menjawab, nanti habis saya kat sini. Tak habis pukul 1. Alright. Okay, so okay, in term of how long should allow for the interview. Okay. This is based on my experience before. Yeah, as mentioned before, I'm new in qualitative, right? Because during my degree, my master, and middle of my PhD, quantitative, and after that, I need to change to qualitative. I noticed that before this, we don't have AI. We don't have AI to do your transcribe and so on, right? I need to do manually, which is like after interview session. After interview session, I need to listen and do verbatim one by one. Okay, one by one. Can you imagine if let's say 2 hours? If let's say 2 hours, for example, how many days that you want to complete your transcribe? Can you imagine? How is it? Is it 5 years ago? Okay, no. 8 years ago, for example, we don't have AI and so on, so we are doing manually. Okay, so again, it depends on you in terms of how to conduct the interview session. So for me, around 45 should be a problem. I mean, should be okay. 45 until 60 minutes or 1 hour. Okay, where do you conduct the interview session? Okay, maybe this one you need to what we call it why this is very important. For number one is like your data is a recording. Your data is a voice. Okay. Can you imagine if let's say you conduct your interview session at coffee shop? Yeah, coffee shop. That one is like, yeah, okay. But again, if let's say they open the sound or music, for example, your recording, for example, can you imagine that this is where's my okay, can you imagine this is my voice recorder? Sometimes your voice recorder will capture the music also. And then what you communicate with your interview, your informant, for example, they are not captured. So that's why in terms of when you want to conduct the interview session, also the place also you need to choose wisely. Okay. Voice recorder is okay if let's say you use your phone, should be no problem, no problem. As long as you need to mention in your chapter 3 which device that you use for your recording. All right. Okay, so conducting the interview, how much informant do you give to informant? Confidential is an issue. Establish a rapport, prepare in advance. Do you do your homework, prepare interview guide, and also use a transition during interview to keep on track. Okay, how much information do you give to the informant? Okay, so this is very important, yeah. Before you want to conduct the interview session, make sure you explain first to your informant, which is like this interview session just for research. Okay, because some of them feel worried, they feel scared if let's say they share something and so on. So that's why before you conduct interview session, we need to have consent letter. Okay, and one more thing, if let's say you are not to if let's say you are not explain to your what we call it, to your informant, for example, the purpose and so on, you have to be careful on that. Because based on my experience, it's not my experience, my friend, uh they facing the problem in term of like during the interview session, the informant not what we call it, not allow my friend to recording the interview session. My friend just can take down the notes. Can you imagine how about the data? So that's why very important, which is like you need to explain. Okay, you need to explain to your informant. All right. Okay, establish a repo. Okay, establish a repo actually very important, yeah. Because you need to remember that if let's say your informant is me, maybe should be no problem. When you interview me, I will share everything, blah 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 blah. If let's say your informant are introvert or very what we call it, they have a high in term of the wall, for example. So again, maybe need to start again in term of like to do repo first. Okay, that this is a very important for qualitative researcher. Okay, and also prepare in advance, do your homework. So this is a very important in term of even you already have an interview guide, for example, right, or interview protocol. You need to do prepare in advance in term of you kena buat. You need to do homework to get to know siapa dia, who is your informant and so on. Okay, so this is conducting the interview. Okay, conducting the interview. Okay, once you already become as a qualitative researcher, you need to become active listener. Okay, you need to listen and rephrase what was said to ensure that you completely understand the meaning based on their okay, they're sharing. Then after that, patient. Okay, this one is number 2. Do not rush the informant and allow him or her to speak freely while guiding the conversation to cover important issue. Okay, and also in term of flexibility. So for this one, researcher may require rearrange and also reorder the question or coming up with the new question. Okay, sometimes your informant will request to what we call it, they will ask you, okay, can I get the interview protocol first? Some of them will request. So what you can do is, again, it depend on you. Sometimes for me, it better you before you conduct the interview session, you can give their what we call it, you can give to them interview protocol. Okay, bagi dulu, then they can prepare the answer, for example. But some of them, what we call it, it's okay, you can come to interview me, for example. And if let's say you already give to them the interview protocol first, for this one, what we call it, as mentioned before, sometimes your informant not answer your question orderly. Okay, so that's why you asking in term of what their favorite food. But again, they will answer favorite drink first. It's okay. So this is what we call it. You can you need to do a flexibility. Some because don't follow me during I conduct my pilot study. I told to my informant, "Oh, sir, you already answer my last question, but I'm not asking you answer that question yet." But again, it's okay. Just do flexibility, which is like if let's say your if let's say your informant already answered the what we call it the last question, even you are not asking them, just tick. So which is like you already know, okay, this question, your informant already answer. So you can focus for the what we call it the others question. Okay, conducting the interview, you need to become as a good observer. Okay, then after that, more to finalize. Okay, for a good observer, for example, okay, I just want to share you. My study actually, I want to explore in terms of how to become as a social entrepreneur among youth. Okay, my my study in terms of like very general, what we call it, no sensitive issue and so on. However, one of my informant, when I'm asking, okay, why you choose to work as a social entrepreneur, for example, and suddenly one of my informant changed the voice. For your information, why? Actually, she is very talkative, very excited to share, blah, 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 blah. And suddenly, when they change the tonation, okay, so maybe you as a researcher, it's okay if let's say you don't want to share, I'm okay, should be no problem. So that's why you have to be a good observer, which is like that question is very sensitive or not, right? And also, that one also, one of the important part, you can, what we call it, you can put as your interpret. Because later on, when you want to write up your chapter 4, based on your observation, for example, you can use why, what we call it, why your informant mention about that. Okay, later on I will explain in terms of interpret. Okay, so in qualitative, interpret are very important. Okay, so that's why you need to be a good observer during the interview session or observe in the field or what we call it or doing the analysis. Okay, this is a type of question, maybe should be no problem, background, descriptive, and so on. Okay, so so this is a special tips in term of good question. Okay, in term of emotion response. How do you feel about that? Tell me about a typical day at UPM, for example, or what we call it again. It based on your RO and or your RQ. Okay. Okay, so problem technique should be no problem. To general to further explanation, as mentioned before, I already give you example how to do a probing technique. Okay, so for this one, please avoid three type of question. Multiple choice question, okay, or long question or yes and no. Maybe you can try to asking them the yes and no, but again, if they say yes, why, no, why, for example. And also non-verbal and body language, emotional, able to notice and react to non-verbal clue. Sometimes, okay, maybe you will notice that when you conduct the interview session, for example, you will notice in terms of their body language, the tonation, for example. For example, okay, all right. So this is what we call it form of probing. Okay, so recording the interview data, for sure, for recording, because what we call it as a qualitative data, as a qualitative researcher, we we will involve with interview. We will involve with so for sure we need to audio recording. Again, it's up to you if let's say you want to use a voice recording. So for sure, you as a researcher, we need to have a voice recorder. Okay, why? Why? Doctor, can we use our smartphone? For sure, you can use your smartphone. Should be no problem. But again, during you want to conduct the interview session, please use A mode. Okay, please use A mode. So, can you imagine during the interview session, for example, your spouse or your kid call you, already interrupt your interview session. So that's why, as a researcher, qualitative researcher, you need to have voice recorder. This one around 300, for example. So which model? I prefer Sony because based on my experience before, I use Olympus. No. So this is my third voice recorder. Okay. So yeah, sila beli Sony. I'm not promote, but this is a good quality. Alright. All right, and then after that, not taking. So this is for sure during the interview session. You need to have a take note during the interview. Sometime you what we call it. If let's say you are not good in listening, for example, you are not auditory learner, for example, you need to taking a note. But again, it depends on you. Which one is the best for you? All right. And for sure, for each, they have an advantage and also the advantage. Maybe you can combine between audio recording and also not taking. Okay. So write down as much as can be, remember. But again, if let's say you feel that when you write down the notes, for example, will distract you, maybe just focus, or what we call it, just focus in terms of listening. Okay, so that's why we need to do pilot study. So during the pilot study, for example, as mentioned before, the purpose of we conduct our pilot study because number one is we want to test our interview protocol. It easy for us to asking to our informant. And for number two is because we want to skill to what we call it to get skill in terms of during the interview session. So so during your pilot study, you will notice that, oh, if let's say I taking notes, for example, during the interview session, distract me to understand, distract me in terms of to pay attention what informant give a sharing and so on, for example, then maybe you just focus in terms of the conversation. That's it. So that's why we need to do pilot study. Okay, listening is skill for in-depth interview. You need to have empathy listening, no judgmental or tolerant appearance, good advanced preparing help, and also listening skill improve with patience. Okay, for this one, yeah, if let's say your face have a subtitle, please be careful. Okay, for example, to be honest, I have a subtitle in my face, yeah. So people will know that so you have to be careful on that. So during what we call it during the interview session, please your what we call maybe you need to smile. Okay. If let's say they share something, you feel oh something like don't show your subtitle face. Okay. So what we call it, you need to be natural on that. Okay. So this is what we call it tips for listening skill. All right. Then after that, okay. So this is attend to ethical consideration. So for sure, you need to locating the site or individual, for example, gaining the access and developing repo. This is very important. Okay, sampling purposely, collect data, recording information, minimize the field issue, and also storing data secret. Okay, so this is what we call it ethical consideration. Okay, so for this one, a good qualitative question can be significant tool that shape a study design analysis. Okay. Researcher need to see the question as a tool for discover as well as a tool for clarify clarity and also focus. Okay, in terms of IP and also guide. Okay, a good qualitative question are dynamic and multi-directional, drawing the reader into the research with a focus on a topic of significance. So this is already explained in terms of interview. Okay. 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 Can I go for first question for interview first? Okay.
Okay, doctor. We have, I think right now, already we have 14 questions.
Ayo. Macam kita kena buat selalu je ni pun.
boleh. Okay, kita try. Okay, so the first one from Nurul. Doctor, do we have to explain why we are choosing mixed method in our thesis? Like you mentioned, it depends on RO and RQ to identify which one to start. Do I have to explain it in the thesis?
Yes, exactly. Because you have to remember, itu siapa nama tanya? Nurul lah kan?
Nurul,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, Puan Nurul, what you need to know that uh in chapter 3, okay, for research design, even you choose a quanti, even you choose a quali, even you choose mixed method, for example, you need to have justification. Why? Okay? And also, because you need to remember during when you at a viva room, for example, for sure, what we call it, examiner, sometimes they are naughty, yeah. They want to test you. Why you choose a mixed method? Why you are not use a qualitative? Why you are not use a quantitative? So that's why you need to, what we call it, just you need to have a justification. Why you choose a mixed method? Okay.
Okay, so we go for number two. From Jaslyn. Jaslyn, actually, so many questions. You want me to go everything for Jaslyn or one by one? Jaslyn, Sabrina, Jaslyn. Something like that. Doctor? You want to
Um,
go? I think one
One
by
by
one lah. It's better, right?
better. Mm-mm.
Okay. From Jaslyn, do we need to record the interview, audio or video?
Okay, again, it can be like audio, it can be like video, it can be like audio, but again, it depend on you. If let's say your study focus on behavior, maybe you want to capture in term of their body language, maybe you can use a video. If let's say you want to get the information, for example, audio just fine.
Okay. So from Sabrina, doctor, is there a limited to number of informant for the pilot study?
Okay, for as mentioned before, for pilot study, it depend on you. Because sometimes you can declare that in your thesis, for example, in my study, I conduct two pilot study. But again, even you are mentioned about two pilot study, that two pilot study still you can use that data. Should be no problem. If let's say in your study you have nine informant, for example, you have a nine informant, then you want to mention in my study, three pilot study and the rest is an actual study. But again, you need to remember, even you conduct the pilot study, you can still use that study. Should be no problem. So you can just mention that you conduct the third, what we call it, you conduct three pilot study. But again, you still can use the data in your study. Should be no problem.
Oh,
So for me, if let's say you mention three, two, should be no problem because you just want to test your IP and also to gain your skill.
okay. So from Jaslyn, is pilot study is a must? Can direct to the real?
Yes, that
Okay.
one already dah answer my
Yeah.
previous.
Okay. So from Sabrina, will it make a difference where we conduct the interview session, whether it is in a coffee shop or at the workplace of the informant?
That one you can decide. You can try to get the idea first. For example, I'm quite worried because if let's say you go to coffee shop, for example, coffee bean ke apa ke, if let's say the next table is their, what we call it, tengah sembang lebat, for example, for sure it will interrupt your study. So that's why you have to be careful in term of the location of interview session, because we are worried in terms of during the interview session, all the conversation, the next table will capture in your voice recorder. All right, but again, it depends on you. But sometimes I believe that right now they have a cancellation, the noise and so on, right? But you need to explore your voice recorder also. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so from Dong Ying, Doctor, if I use qualitative research, how many questions are generally appropriate in the interview session section?
Okay. For RQ, is it? Mana soalan dia? Kejap, kejap. Saya ni kena baca. Kita ni bukan jenis auditor
Boleh,
ni.
boleh,
Kejap.
boleh, boleh.
Kejap.
Dari from Dong Ying, Dong Ying, Dong Ying, Dong Ying. Wait, Dong
Okay, okay,
Ying.
okay. Inilah saya
Dong
tak
Ying
sangat.
ni atas from the beginning after the session. After Dr. break tadi. Sekejap eh.
Okay, 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 okay. Kejap. Kejap macam nampak dah.
10:45 dia post.
10:45,
Ya,
10:45,
10:45.
10:45,
Dong Ying post the question.
10:45.
Doktor nampak ke soalan ni? Dah nampak dah?
Okey, ni Sabrina kejap
Bawah Sabrina ada Dong Yin Hu. Dong Yin Hu.
Okey, tak apalah bacalah. Saya tak nampak dah.
Okay. If I use qualitative research,
Mm-mm.
how many
Okay, 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 okay.
questions? Ha.
Okay, if I use a qualitative research, how many questions are generally appropriate for interview session? Okay,
Yes.
this one, you want to refer RQ or your interview protocol? Dong Yi? Dong Yi? That's the design of this question required to support the references. Okay, okay, this one you refer to research question or interview protocol, yeah?
Dong Yi, you can unmute or you can also type. Okay.
Okay, tak
Dong
apa.
Yi already give the thumbs ups only. So meaning that already answered.
Okay, get it. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm asking you, is it refer to RQ or interview protocol? Hello? If let's say you cannot. Okay, dah jadi DJ pula kita hari ni, Wak. Kejap, Kejap.
You cannot unmute.
Okay, it's okay. Maybe you will, I believe that you can respond in our chat room if let's say you have a
Yeah, it's
problem in
better
terms
chat
of.
room. It's better chat room. Okay, so after
Okay,
this we
Dr.
will come back to
Normandini.
you. We will come back to Dong Ying if after Dong Ying reply your question, doctor. So we go for the next one from Jaslyn. If JKE already approved of that, pilot study is still needed?
Of course.
Okay, of course.
JKEU,
Okay.
okay, JKEUPM actually, what we call it, to get approval, you conduct the study. They already, what we call it, they will review your interview protocol. Is it, what we call it, in term of, yeah, they allowed you to conduct the interview session. Okay, so that one more to, what we call it, to get approval before you collect the data. They will check your interview protocol. But again, for pilot study, you as a researcher, for sure you need to, what we call it, to get experience in term of conduct the interview, okay, and also to check your question it is your informant understand or not. Okay, you get it?
Okay, so I think
Alright.
they must be understand about that. Okay.
Dr.
So
Normani good.
from Jaslyn again, okay. What is good tools to do transcription? Possible AI tools?
Okay,
Any
that one
suggestion?
for that one I don't want to share.
I
Because
don't
for
want to share.
to be honest, yeah, for sure I don't like my student using AI because
Okay.
I want you feel how I feel before this. But again, that one it depend on you because you have to be careful. Sometimes even you are doing to transcribe using AI, for example, for sure you need to have a lot of to do. Okay, because you need still check and so on. I think they have a pro and cons. But again, I don't want to share about that. Really sorry.
Okay. So we go for number 9, Rabia. How many pilot studies? I think this one you already
Yeah.
answered, but just do we need to do in our first pilot study? If our interview protocol is not accurate, do we need to do another pilot study or not?
No need. You
No need.
just proceed, which is like you already improve.
Okay, so we go for another one. Number 10 from Yu Pui Quen. Is video recording better? Can the expression count as observation?
But again, in term of observation, I will explain later.
Okay,
Okay, so I
so
already explain in term of interview session first. Okay,
okay,
for
so from Mumtahina, for studies using online focus group discussion, what strategies are most effective in maintaining interaction quality and minimizing loss of non-verbal data?
that one, siapa tu tanya?
Yu Pui Quen.
Okay, itu nombor berapa dia punya tu?
Nombor
Eh,
10.
I mean, nombor, I mean, time dia. Time posting.
Time dia sekejap. Sekejap. Saya pun kena tengok balik. Sebab kita orang dah tarik keluar. We
Oh,
already pull
faham.
out the things out sebab susah nak tengok.
Okay, faham tu lah. Saya pun macam cari-cari juga ni.
Ah.
Uh,
10:51, Doktor. Bukan saya. Mumtahina.
10:41
51.
10:40.
Mumtahina.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, correct. Mumtahina, Mumtahina. Sorry, not Pui. Not
10.
you Pui. Correct. Mumtahina is, wait. 10:51 is, yeah, correct. Mumtahina
Okay, for study
Juti.
using online focus group discussion, what strategy are most effective? And that's why lah. Maintaining the interaction quality and also minimizing loss of the non-verbal data. Okay, for this one, that's why you have to be careful when you want to conduct online pula kan. Again, in term of to make sure your informant are homogeneous, which is like if let's say you want to asking sometimes they feel that interior tau. If let's say they feel that that person share something, for sure they feel threatened. Okay, so that's why for focus group discussion, and then after that when you conduct online, they will feel that. Okay, what the strategy? Maybe you as a researcher you need to play a what we call it role lah in term of to moderate to make sure all your informant answer your question. Okay, because it easy for you. They have a pro and con, yeah. If let's say you conduct online, because it easy for you to control. For example, you can call the name. Okay, Zul Nurul Huda, you can explain first. Okay, Puan Rabia, can you explain? Okay, Ben or Naya, your turn. Okay, because they display your name, it easy for you. Okay, so you can give one by one. If let's say physical, sometimes, oh, I want to talk. I want to talk. So that's why if let's say you want to conduct focus group discussion, this is like more to, yeah, you are a researcher. At the same time, like you more to like a moderator to make sure all your informant share. Okay, not only one. Sometimes they feel that for sure that we have our informant like very dominant. He or she want to talk a lot. Okay, compared to others. Okay, so that's why you have a need to play what we call important role lah in terms of to moderate that session.
Okay, so number 12 from Jesslyn again. Can the interview in group? Because, for example, I need 10 interviewer. Can I interview them in one interview session?
Yes, can. But again, you need to remember if let's say you want to 10 interview in one session, which
10
is like you want
interviewer. 10 interviewer in the
10
session, in
interview.
one session.
Okay. 10 interviewer in one session, that one considered as a focus group discussion, right?
According to the questions, she doesn't mention about that lah. Just
Okay.
can the interview in a group? Example, I need 10 interviewer. Can I interview them in one session interview only?
Okay. That one we call as a focus group discussion. But again, if let's say you conduct qualitative, then after that you want to do like that, you need to justify why you do conduct FGD. Because you need to remember in research, you need to justify why you conduct focus group discussion, why you want to do 10 collect 10 informant in one day, for example. So you have to be careful in terms of that. Again, you can justify.
Okay. So number 13 from Sabrina Hashim. Are we allowed to provide the question to them in advance to get them better prepared?
Yes. That one is a good practice.
If there are questions, like you said, the informant does not choose to answer one or two questions, how it will affect our findings?
It will affect your findings. So that's why all the question, that's why in terms of when you want to select your informant, make sure you need to set the criteria. Is it the informant meet your criteria or not? If let's say, for sure it will affect your data and it will affect what we call it, waste your time. If let's say that your informant not give data what you want. Okay, so that's why you have to be careful in terms of selecting your participant. You need to set the criteria. Okay?
Okay, so actually from Sri Azrina, I think you already answered, but I just want to what we call that, say the questions lah. How about the informant is an active talker? Is there a guideline so that the interview stay in focus? Just now you explain lah. You have to what we call that,
Yep.
play
Control.
important roles lah.
Yep.
Okay. So from Jesseline, number 15, video recording is important as in the non-verbal is important as well. Whole process, will the interviewer not comfortable?
Kejap. Panjang soalan tu. Kejap
Ya panjang.
Itu di
Dia
mana tu?
Jesseline sekejap Jesseline. Okay, 11:03.
11. Okay, video recording is important as it non-verbal is important as well. The whole process will the interview not. Yes, correctly. So that's why if let's say your interviewer are not comfortable, that's why you need to explain, which is like this session just for research. I will not reveal your face. I not reveal your name. Only you and your supervisor can get the what we call it, can get know the informant. For example, you will use a pseudonym, for example. Okay. That's why you need to have consent letter, which is like that one is your agreement between you and informant, which is like this is purposely just for research. Okay?
So number 16 from Nurul, how do we know that our question is quite enough for our research? Quite enough. I'm not really get it. I also
Itulah
tak.
saya pun macam okay, maybe this one for sure Nurul. Maybe for Nurul, I believe that for sure you have a supervisor, right? So maybe your supervisor will guide you in term of like your RO, what we call it, your research question, for example. Uh, yeah, what we call it for PhD level. Okay, maybe should be no problem on that.
Okay. So number 17, is WhatsApp recording accepted?
Okay, for accept recording accepted.
WhatsApp. Through WhatsApp.
Ini dia macam susah sikit nak jawab ni. Okay, for this one, how I can't get the idea in term of like how you conduct the interview session, which is like maybe in term of you asking using the voice note. Is it like that, Anusha? Okay, I believe that something like that. Maybe again, if let's say you conduct this study using the WhatsApp recording, for example, you asking the question just using the voice note, and after that, your informant reply using the voice note, for example.
Yes, doctor. Yes, doctor.
Okay. Maybe you need to remember that maybe for this one it will impact in term of you cannot see their body language, you cannot see in term of how,
Expression.
yeah, something like that. Okay. If let's say you do online, maybe we can still accept, because if let's say you do online, for example, we still can see the reaction. If let's say you're asking the question, okay, in term of the transition, how they want to share something. All right.
Okay, so Anusha said that. Okay, and number 18, Adam Junior again. What happened if we conduct the interview? During the interview, the recording device does not recording. Should we interview the person again or consider void and move on to the next person? And
Okay.
what if the person that we interview is super important?
Okay. For your information, Mr. Adam, this is by my experience. Even I conduct my interview session using the voice recording. At the same time, also I on my phone, which is I have a two device to
As a
conduct.
backup.
Yep. And for information, even I'm using the two device, I also explain in my chapter 3, which is like for your information, yeah, when you conduct your what we call it, you using for voice recording, for example, right? You need to mention which brand, yeah. For example, I'm using voice recorder from Samsung. Which model? Okay, you need to explain. For example, for phone, for example, which phone for recording? So in qualitative, you need to very detailed in terms of how to collect your data. Okay? So if let's say that person are very important, you need to conduct again, and maybe for sure that time their finding might be different. Okay?
Okay, so from Chan, Doctor, number 19, I think Chan is asking your experience previously. Doctor, normally where do you conduct your interview? If it's something private and confidential. Example, mental health.
Okay, in terms of mental health, for example, because this is a very sensitive, right? Maybe you need to find a place, location like very, yeah. Again, it depend on you. Um, what we call it? What we call it? Sometimes, if let's say they prefer to outside, then you can go outside. But again, you need to see the surrounding first. Okay, you need to check either suitable or not. Okay, please don't what we call it. For example, yeah, even that one private, can you imagine? Okay, this is based on my experience, yeah. The next me is a fountain. You know water fountain? Dia bunyi air kluk 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 tu
Mm-hmm.
recording ya. My voice recorder
Mm-hmm.
capture the fountain punya sound.
Okay.
So that's why even your place are very private and so on, for example. But again, you need to make sure is it voice recording will capture that sound or not. Okay, so maybe again it depend on you. Maybe you can ask your informant in term of which place suitable. Okay, for me, for example, based on my experience also, sometimes I will ask my informant because I'm not familiar with that place. For example, okay, do you have a suggestion where location suitable for us to conduct the interview? Maybe you can give like what we call it okay, make sure that place no what we call it what we call it less in term of noisy, for example. You maybe can try to communicate with them what the criteria for that place. Okay, maybe they will help you. Okay.
Okay. So from Dong Ying, okay, Doctor, if I use qualitative research, how many questions are generally appropriate in the interview session? Okay, I think just now you already answered.
Mm-mm.
Does the design of this question require the supports of references? This one.
The design of this question require the support. Itulah tak faham yang ni. Kejap eh. Does the
Okay,
design of
so
this
Dong Ying
question
ni pukul jap. Dong
does the
Ying.
design of this question support the references? Okay. Again, why you conduct that study? Based on your research problem, right? Based on your research problem, then you will come up with your RO and RQ. So this is the process. I hope that Dongyi, you get my idea on that. Okay.
Sorry, excuse me, doctor. I just have a question because in the quantitative research, in interview section, just ask how many question is very suitable for ask the interviewer.
Okay.
Uh,
Dongyi,
yeah.
this is based on your research question. How many research question that you have? So
Uh,
your research question will help you to develop your interview protocol. So your question are based on your interview protocol to answer your research question. You get it what I
okay.
mean?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
All right.
Yes. So
And or the question is refers to the reference, right?
Which reference?
Reference from
can you please speak a bit loud because it's not really clear your voice, Dong Ying.
okay. Typing.
Okay.
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 Okay, so we go for number 21, Sabrina.
Okay. Okay. Puan, maybe
Ah,
because I believe that right now already 11:30.
okay, so
Kita
we go for
risau.
the next one.
Kita
Better lah.
boleh go to
Okay.
the next one. Okay. So I hope that for interview session I will read again in term of which question. So for the next one is I will share with you in term of the second tools in term of to do data collection, which is observation. What is observation? Okay. So observation refer to we observe every day. So actually routine observation is not considered a research. Okay. So observation for information as a data collection method. Okay. In qualitative. In qualitative, which is like they're more to systematic. Okay. Which is like you have a step, you have procedure. Okay. And then after that, they have a specific research question and also subject to check and balance in producing the trustworthy result have to be supported, okay, or triangulate by others technique. Okay, so why we use a observation, for example, sometimes when you conduct the interview session, for example, then after that you need to support using the observation. Okay, so why we can use observation as our tool for number one is because you want to understand the context, and after that you want to triangulate your finding. For example, when I'm asking Puan Linda what the favorite food, Puan Linda mentioned about nasi ayam. Every day, Puan Linda will eat nasi ayam. Then after that, you need to remember that I have my second method to collect data, which is observation. So I do observation every day. I notice that Puan Linda not eat nasi ayam, but eat nasi kandar for every day. So for over here, you will notice that they have something wrong. Why? During the interview session, Puan Linda mentioned about nasi ayam or chicken rice. And based on my observation, I noticed that Puan Linda eat nasi kandar. Okay? So this is what we call as triangulate. Okay? And also, why we conduct observation? Because we want to see the first hand. Okay? And also we can record behavior as it is happening, and we can see specific behavior. Okay, we can see things which people are not free or not willing to talk about, and something that difficult to describe. So for sure, I will. They have a big question there. Why? Why Puan Linda eat nasi kanda? It's not nasi ayam. Okay, this is example. Okay, okay. And what the difference between observation and also interview? So observation will take place in the natural setting, and also observation are first hand, and also observation are real time. And also interview can be interwoven with the observation. So that's why sometime yeah, your informant will lying to you. That's why we need to do observation to see the first hand, what we call it, to see the the real situation. Can you imagine? Okay, just you just imagine, yeah, for example, you conduct study in school, okay, towards how to write essay for English, for example. So when you interview student at school, okay, can you explain how to do essay, yeah? Okay, you need to do point first. You need to read the what we call it. You need to read the title, the question. Then after that, you need to give a point for introduction, for the content, and for the conclusion, right? Okay, so you're asking that question step by step. However, when you go to observation, you observe the student during the exam, for example, how to do essay, for example. You will notice that the student, when they read the what we call it, the question, student, what we call it, not doing the point, he or she directly write the essay. So this is what we call it, when you do observation, sometimes what we call it totally different when you do interview session. Okay, so that's why we need to do observation. But again, it depends on your study. All right, so this is preparing your observation. For sure, you need to training and mental preparation are important. Okay, training include learning how to write, okay, descriptive and also reflective. Then after that, you need to practice the disciplinary, recording the field note, okay, knowing how to separate detail, and also how to using the rigorous method to validate observation. Okay, so if let's say you are working with a community, for example, or your informant, for example, establish a relationship with your subject, understudy period of your fieldwork. Okay. So what to observe? Okay, if let's say you want to plan, observation is one of your what we call it, your method to collect your data. You can observe in terms of their physical setting, what the activity human and social environment, for example. Okay, formal interaction, informal interaction, for example, non-verbal communication, observe what does not happen. Okay, so you own behavior, role, activity, and also thought. Okay, so this is what we call it, what you need to observe. Now, how to, what we call it, so this is based on what you want to observe. So this is the process in terms of doing our observation. For number one is entry, which is like gaining the confidence and getting permission. Data collection, then after that you need to when exit in terms of to need to exit out or withdraw gradually. Okay, so no ideal and time frame, depend on situation and researcher need and own target. Okay, so this is a type of observation. So we have participant observation and non-participant observation. So for relationship between observer and observed, so this is like participant observe. So this is like you in that group. Okay. Participant as observer, participant role is more salient and then researcher role more participant. Observer as a participant, non-participant, more observer and participant secondary, and also complete observer. So sometimes your informant know that they are being observed or not. Okay, sometimes your informant know that you are observer. Okay. So this is a type of observation. Then after that, participant observation. Okay, for this one, I believe that you guys already learned in what we call it research method class. So I just skip, okay, because we have another topic for this one. Okay, so when to stop observing? Again, in qualitative based on saturation, based on data saturation. So maybe based on here, you will notice that the decision to withdraw from fieldwork, okay, may be taken when there is theoretical saturation, which is like, you need to remember, in qualitative, based on saturation, data saturation. So you feel that you already get the answer, for example, your data already saturation, then after that you can stop. So that's why in qualitative, you as a researcher, you are the main instrument. Okay, so this is the strength and weakness of doing the observation. Maybe you can read this one. I will share you a slide. Should be no problem for this one. All right, so this is a preparing and conducting observation. Maybe it should be no problem in terms of select a site and then identify. Okay, so this one I just skip. Okay, so this is observation protocol and guide. Okay, if let's say you use an observation, for example, we have a two type of notes, field notes. For the first one is descriptive note and the second one is reflective note. So what is descriptive note? Descriptive note refer to this one. Okay, for this one, refer to descriptive note, which is like what we call it, what you see, what you saw, for example. You just write down here. And after that, for reflective note, based on you as researcher, what is your thought? Okay, okay, so this is a difference between descriptive and reflective note. Because you need to remember that you as a researcher, you need to observe what happened in that, your setting, for example, and you as a researcher, for example, for sure you have a thought in terms of something. You have your opinion, you want to say something, for example. So that's why for observation, we have descriptive and also reflective. All right. Okay, so this is example what to observe. Again, it depends on your study. It depends on your study. Maybe what we call it, you are looking for appearance, for example, in terms of their verbal behavior or interaction, or physical behavior or personal space, human traffic or people who stand out. Again, it depends on your RO, your RQ. Okay, so this is a depend on your RO and your RQ. So, for example, researchers should note, for example, again, this is example, yeah, as mentioned before, your observation protocol, for example, based on your RQ. Okay, you have to be careful on that. Okay, so for qualitative, okay, for this one I need to maybe over here you will notice that I'm share that you have a memo, right? Some qualitative method, okay. We have a memo and so on, but again, it depend on you. how you want to make it. However, okay, I just want to share with you, for qualitative, actually, you need to have one book. You need to have one book. For example, this is example. This is my book. Until now, I'm using notes. So everything, for qualitative, for example, you need to have your own notes, everything, what we call in term of you have idea and so on. For example, you want to do coding category and so on. You want to change, you get some idea and so on. Everything you can put in your notes. And during your Viva, you can bring your notebook. During 3 years, you're doing your PhD and master, right? For example. So this is can consider as your evidence doing your research. Okay? All right. So far, do you okay with observation? Can I go for the next one because I'm quite worried? Okay, good. So we go for the next one is a document analysis. Okay. All right. So what is a document analysis? Okay. For this one, you need to remember that I still notice that if it's I read some thesis, they mention about audio recording. I mean, audio visual considered as another new method. But again, it depends on you in terms of to use uh how to declare about that. But again, you need to remember that in terms of to collect your data, for example, we only have a three method: interview, observation, and document. Okay, so for document analysis and audio visual can consider under document. Okay, so you need to remember that document are not usually document are usually not produced for research, but we can use that document to support our study, to support our research. So document are more stable sources of data. So it generally do not they are not effect on your research or setting or participant compare interview and observation. So that's why if let's say you use document, for example, that one stable compare interview and compare to observation. Okay, so can we do some flashback? If let's say I'm asking Puan Linda mention about when I conduct the interview session, Puan Linda mentioned about her favorite food is a chicken rice. Then after that, based on my observation, I noticed that Puan Linda every day eat nasi kandar. Can you see the different in term of your finding? Might be different, right? Then after that, I do document analysis based on when I get a permission. For example, I get a permission from Puan Linda to use her social media, which is I follow Instagram, IG, for example. So I noticed that Puan Linda show at her Instagram Instagram on their social media, which is like what we call it, nasi ayam or chicken rice, for example. So for sure they have a contradict on that. Because you need to remember that for document analysis more stable compared to IV and observation. Okay. Do not worry, I will explain later for the next one. Alright. And then, okay, for document analysis and audio visual, as mentioned before, we can divide in terms of document and also audio visual. So you can use a research journal or diary considered as a document, personal document, email, letter, organization document, public document, audio biography or biography, for example. Okay, that one can consider as a document. Then after that, if let's say participant take photo or record video, for example, or you want to use a video or film, for example, then if let's say you want to examine the photography or video, or you want to examine the website, Facebook, Twitter or X we call now, or thread, for example, right now quite hot, with a thread, okay, spill the tea and so on. Then after that, collect sounds or get a phone and copy to based on the message, for example. So this is what we call it, how you can define what we call it. Yeah, this is considered as you can use all this information consider as your research. All right, then after that, nature of the document analysis, you need to remember that for document, which is like, yeah, they're more to written. Okay, written for others' purpose, which is like can be novel, newspaper, diary, okay, interview, love song, okay. So based on available material, okay, serve, okay. However, document analysis usually serve as secondary data. But I noticed that we have our friend today mentioned about in their study using as a document analysis. Okay, so again, you need to justify why you choose a document analysis as your main data. All right. Okay, for example, for the certain type of study, it can be their primary source of data. So that's why you have to be careful in terms of like to justify why you choose document analysis as your main data. All right, so some field, for example, archaeology. Okay, archaeology, for example, consider document as a part of artificial, okay, artifact. All right, so using a document in qualitative research, actually generally the same as an interview and observation. However, for sure, we have a challenge in terms of to finding relevant material. Researcher creativity is helpful. So need to determine in terms of authenticity and also accurate of document. So type of document as mentioned before, it can be public record, personal record, popular cultural document, and also physical material. Okay, so this is the strength and weakness. So for the strength, for sure, time savvy, and also for weakness in term of produce not for research. Okay, so this is like what we call it prefer for sources. Okay. All right, so maybe this one should be no problem for this one. Okay, the strength and okay. Can I go? Okay, before we start QDA, okay, maybe yeah. So we have another 1 hour. Yeah, all right. Okay, so maybe I can go to Q and Q.
You want to go to the question, Doctor?
Yep.
Okay, so we continue. Okay, so right now we already have, I think, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 12 questions more to go. Okay?
Oh, kita kita wah.
Okay, Doctor? Sorry?
Sure.
Okay, so from Sabrina, Doctor, can you show us an example of an interview protocol? Does it refer to interview question? Protocol.
Yes, interview protocol actually refer to your interview question. As I mentioned before, interview protocol set of question that you want to ask your informant to answer your question, which is like set of question. Yeah.
Okay, so from Abdul Rahman, next question, Abdul Rahman. Hi, Doctor. Is it feasible to pursue academic study on an AI-specific hardware device without any prior hands-on experience with it? Or should I first gain basic practical knowledge?
Wow. Yang ni tahu nak jawab dia ni.
Kena-
Ini kena tanya supervisor ni. Alright, because you need to remember when you want to decide doing your research, for example, again, based on your problem statement. Okay, you need to identify the problem. If let's say you feel that study itulah ini maybe you need to discuss with your supervisor or expert, for example. Is it yeah.
Is it suitable for you to pursue or not? Is it correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
AI
So
specific hardware.
we go
Ni
for
macam
next question.
this one more kepada technical dah ni kan?
Yeah, I think so, because kalau if you look at the question, Doctor, so the Abdul Rahman is not have good experience in AI, but wants to pursue with that field. Is it?
Okay, maybe you can go to practical knowledge first. Yes, for sure. Because again, for sure, when you conduct research also at the same time, you will learn about that. So that's why you will master on that. You will expert on that area. Should be no problem. If let's say you want to focus on AI specific hardware device, yes, maybe. But
Hmm.
again, what we call in qualitative, actually, we follow by when you want to develop your RQ, for example, your research question, what we call it, you need to start with a lower question, moderate question, and also the hard question, which is like they have like consistent in term of like when you conduct your RQ. But again, this is a good idea actually, because you need to remember that for qualitative, actually, you want to explore, right? So at the same time, also, you will expert on that one if, let's say, you want to understand in term of specific hardware device, for example. Okay? Something like that.
Okay, so we go to number 23, Hazwati. How many times that we must conduct the interview for one interview session? One on one.
Okay, maybe it can be like, sometimes it can be only one, it can be twice, depend in term of your data. If let's say you feel that, for example, yeah, when you go for the first informant, because maybe for the first informant, that one considered as your first data collection, right? It can be like your pilot study, right? So when you go for the second one, you notice something like, this is a very important. Maybe you can going back to the first informant and asking that question. Should be no problem. Okay. So again, it depends on your study. Sometimes one session already enough. Okay.
Okay. So we go for the next one from Farhana. Assalamualaikum, Doctor. I have read in a mixed method research, the researcher used open-ended survey question where the informant fill in the answer via Google form. Is this also considered qualitative design?
If let's say, okay, mixed method. So that's why you need to remember this one considered as quali or not, because quali it depend in term of interview, observation, and document analysis. So if let's say you ask your informant to fill in your via Google form, that one sounds to what? Okay, but again, if let's say you mention that, if let's say that question, you need to remember that sometimes you cannot capture what they are meaning. So that's why you have to be careful. If let's say using the Google form, the qualitative, we want to explore and using three method: interview, observation, and document analysis. So if not, how you want to get the rich data? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we go to number 25, Mohiuddin. How many recording set is safe to keep in a one-to-one interview? Is it like a podcast setup? If one set or gadget misses that, then another one can work.
This one I believe I already
Mm.
answered the previous question.
Yeah, so you have to have backup, the
You have
answer.
to pick up, yeah, because
If you
that
want
one
to
is
have more
your,
than one backup, also can Doctor,
yeah,
right?
should be no problem.
Okay, so we go for 26. Hanha is video call, WhatsApp, FaceTime is up to the level for quali interview. Any extra tips? So I think this one also you already answered just now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we go for number 27, Daniel. At which condition will a main researcher employ the service of an assistant to conduct an interview in his or her absence? And is that permissible?
Okay, Daniel, you have to be careful because during
Mm.
the Viva, sometimes the examiner will ask you. Okay, so that's why we cannot hire a person. You need to remember, you as a researcher, you are a student, you need to collect your own data. You cannot hire others. Because sometimes, as mentioned before, sometimes your examiner are very naughty. They will ask you question which is like out of the box. Okay, so that's why you have to be careful on that. So you as a researcher, you as a student, for example, for sure you need to collect your own data because you as a researcher, you are the main instrument.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so number 28, Zian Sheng. Doctor, some informants, this one very long question, so I think Doctor also kena
Okay.
study, tengok juga because
The
panjang.
time constraint or personal
Okay,
willingness
Zian
or the
Sheng.
acceptable of
Doctor, some informants, due to time constraint or personal willingness, only accept interview on a specific questions. Other informant accept interview on a same specific questions from either the same set of interviews or from any other interview, but do not accept interview on other questions. Is this acceptable in the data collection phase? Can I use it for analysis?
Okay. So, can you imagine Jian Seng, okay? Can you imagine what purpose you are collect your data? For sure, you want all the information from that informant, right? So, if let's say your informant not want to answer all your set of question, you already waste your time. Because when you set when you set the interview session, to conduct the interview session with your informant, for example, for sure you are looking for the rich data. So that's why very important to set or to create criteria who is your informant, who is your participant in your study. Okay?
Okay, so we go for next one from Abdul Rahman again. If I am studying a device used for AI, but I have I think the same questions. This one we can just go with it because the same questions. No
Okay.
experience and then can I continue? Something like that lah.
That should
Okay.
be no
So
problem.
number 30, Sabrina, is observation necessary for all qualitative studies?
Again, it depends on your study. Sometimes your observation maybe will support you for another perspective. Okay?
Okay. So from Dong Ying, my question is how we can ensure that our interview questions are representative. Is it necessary to support with reference? I think the same questions,
Okay,
right?
faham. Okay, faham. How to, my
Dong
question
Ying.
is how we ensure our interview session. Okay. So
Hmm.
that's why, okay, don't yeah, I got your, I got your meaning.
Yeah.
Okay, Doi, I will respond for your question. Okay, for your information, for this one, how to make sure your interview protocol is what we call, you can use it, right? So for this one, for sure, okay, for sure you need to apply JKUPM, right? At the same time also, you can hire, well, it's not hire, you can appoint expert to validate your interview protocol. Should be no problem. Maybe your supervisor, will help you in term of to get what we call it to appoint what we call it, they have a suggestion in term of to validate your interview protocol. Should be no problem. All right.
Okay. So
Okay. Doni, finally
and
I
finally,
understand.
we can answer, okay, your
All
question.
right.
Okay, so number 32, Muhammad Faizul Salam. Sorry, doctor, do we need a multiple FGD or enough with only one FGD, which consists of 4 to 5 informants?
Okay, if let's say, okay, thank you, Mr. Anwar. Ni my student ni. Before this, they attend my class. Okay. Okay, Mr. Anwar. Okay, for this question, but again, if let's say your data saturated, then you can, what we call it, you can stop on that. If let's say one FGD is not enough, your data is not enough, then you can come up with second FGD. Again, you need to remember during the interview session, what we call it during the Viva, for example, the examiner will ask you why you conduct FGD. Why only one FGD? Why not doing what we call it among 5 informants? So why you conduct one to one? Why you conduct the FGD one? Why you not doing for one by one informant interview session, for example? So that's why you have to get ready with the justification. Okay?
Okay.
Alright.
So we go for Atika. Okay,
Okay, linguistik. Okay, kalau in
yeah.
linguistik saya faham lah. Faham, wait a minute. All right.
What are the main methods of data collection is document analysis. Would it be problem for my study if I rely solely
Okay,
on
Puan
document
Atika, are you from modern language faculty ke? I believe that maybe linguistic ni memang FBMK ni.
Fakulti of
Alright.
Bahasa Moden.
Because you need to remember that for linguistic, for example, for Malay study ataupun English study, kan, kadang-kadang you need to remember that our method totally different. Okay, because in our faculty also, we have a Bahasa Malaysia, Bahasa Malaysia pula, Bahasa Melayu teachers, yeah. So in term of their research might be different because sometimes they are refer in term of the book, the literature book,
Literature.
buku sastra and so on, right? So again, if let's say you in your study just using book, for example, for this one you focus on children story book, for example, maybe you need to explain that your study is focused on document analysis. But again, maybe in term of our what we call it, our practice, for example, might be different. But again, I'm not sure who is your examiner and so on. So you need to explain why only document analysis, why you are not back up with interview, why you are not back up with observation, for example. But again, it depends on you. But again, based on your RO and on your RQ. Okay?
Okay, so number 35 is from Mohiuddin. Okay, I think the question is quite the same with what we call it to bring assistant, but this one in a different perspective. Can I take an assistant with me while conducting an interview who can help me for recording, monitoring the records document? Okay, in the bracket, okay, I want to take my wife in the session for supporting me. Okay, so do Mr. Muhyiddin need to mention, necessary to mention it in the paper, in the writing?
No need, no need. No need to mention. It's okay if let's say you want to bring some your friend or your wife, for example, to follow, should be no problem. But again, in term of ethical, in term of like maybe you need to make sure your wife also will, what we call it, in term of to keep the information and so on, because you already what we call it, your informant, or they already consent the letter, right? I mean sign the consent letter. So that's why in term of that. Okay, sometimes if let's say they have a lot of people join your recording, your informant will feel not safe. Even you mentioned that you are not reveal their name and so on. Alright, so this is in term of the ethical issue. Okay, but again, you can, if let's say your study is not what we call it, not sensitive, maybe it should be no problem. Okay, so that's why we have to be careful.
Okay, so second last,
So,
Husaini. What is research case study protocol? Is it different from the research proposal document? Research case study protocol. Is it different from research proposal document?
apa itu research protocol ni? Okay.
Case study. What is research in the bracket is case study protocol.
Okay. Usaini, are you here? Maybe I want to ask you what is a research proposal? Mak risau dah ni. Okay, maybe
The research proposal, like what one has prepared, explaining what he's going to do in his research.
chapter 1 to
Submitted
3.
to school. Pardon?
Okay, what do you understand in terms of research proposal?
Research proposal is the document you've prepared explaining what you intend to do, why you intend to do it, and how you intend to do it.
All right.
So, I think that's what we submit to the school for approval, an ethical committee for approval.
Okay, get
to
it.
conduct our research. Yeah.
All right. So what is a research case study protocol? What do you mean?
Like for my own design is case study, and I can see in so many documents or guides that will tell you you have to design a research case study protocol to use. So I get confused. Is the case study protocol a different document from the research proposal, or is it the same? Is it? I don't really understand.
Okay, Husaini, maybe are you already taking research method class or not?
Yes.
Okay, but I'm not sure which faculty are you. But again, research proposal for information. If let's say we mention about research proposal, only 3 chapter, which is a chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. Chapter 1 refer to introduction. Okay. In terms of like you want to explain in terms of your statement of problem, RO, RQ, hypothesis, significance of study, definition of term, and so on. For chapter 2, we have literature review. Okay, which is like you need to explain about discuss in terms of like the previous study and so on, theoretical framework and conceptual framework. But again, and for number 3 is a methodology, which is like for methodology part or chapter 3, you need to discuss in terms of research, design, your population, your sampling technique, your data analysis and so on. So you need to remember that case study your research design, which is located in chapter 3, which is like you need to explain to your reader, for example, or your reader, I mean your examiner, for example. Okay. So research case study, I believe that you want to use a case study. So you need to explain in chapter 3. Okay. So what is research proposal? Chapter 1, 2, and 3. Okay, you get it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Alhamdulillah, Husaini. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So ada satu. There's one which is
Alright.
Hanan. Actually, Hanan's want to ask questions one by one. Okay, but he wants directly to ask.
Later. Okay. Maybe he or she can email me.
Okay, is it okay, Hanan, to email directly to the doctor? Or you want to open
Okay.
your mic now for clarifications?
Okay, later. Okay,
Okay.
so because we have another 1 hour, okay, so we
Assalamualaikum.
have before 1 hour before we finish our ni, can we proceed for the next session? So Hannah, maybe you can, it's okay, you can write down your question. Is it okay? Okay,
Yeah, it
can
is
we?
okay, doctor. Can I take just a few minutes, if it is okay?
Yeah,
It will take
better
not too
because I
long.
need to finish our session first. Is it okay?
After the
Okay,
session, is it okay, Mr. Hanan?
okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, for the next one is the last. Okay, the last one is a qualitative data analysis. So this is actually our what we call it. Actually, our topic today actually based on qualitative data analysis. Can you imagine if let's say I'm not share with you in term of approach, not in term of how you collect interview, observation, and document analysis. For sure, you will struggle for qualitative data analysis. Okay. So for the next one is I will try in term of 1 hour to finish for qualitative data analysis sharing. Okay. So for QDA, okay, what is a QDA? Qualitative data analysis. Okay, now for qualitative data analysis, you need to working with data, which is like you need to organize, you need to breaking, synthesis, and also searching the pattern. Which is like you need to do coding, category, and theme, and also you want to discovering and decide what you will tell the reader. Okay, because you need to remember you already involved with qualitative, which is like no numbers. You are involved with verbal wording. Okay, that's why you need to organize, you need to breaking, you need to searching the pattern. All right. So, process of systematical searching and arranging the data to answer your research question. So that's why in qualitative for information, again, we have a different school of thought. If let's say you ask me, for qualitative, we only use research question. We are not using RO, research objective. No. Okay. But again, it depends on your supervisor. Okay. If let's say you ask me, in qualitative, we only use a research question because when you want to do data analysis, you will going back to your research question. So maybe you will make sense how you want to do your qualitative data analysis because you set up your RQ. Okay, you develop your own RQ. Then after that, you develop your interview protocol based on your research question. You collect your data. When you want to do analysis, for example, coding, category, and theme, how to answer, how to do coding, category, and theme, your team should answer your research question. Okay, so that's why this is what we call it as a qualitative data analysis. Okay, the next one is this is the process of data analysis, which is like what we call it. People don't like it. Okay, they hate qualitative. But again, to be honest, qualitative is very enjoy. Okay, very enjoy. Okay, so this is the process. For the first one is you need to sorting and prepare the data. Okay, then after that you need to read the entire data. Then after that for step 3, 4, and 5, you need to do coding, categorize, and theme. Then after that you need to do interpret the data, provide the visual data display. Then after that you need to in terms of valid your data, reliability, and also valid. And also the last one is report. Okay. So this is the process of doing qualitative process. Okay. 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 The next one is developing the team and data. Okay. For this one, I will explain in terms of we have a coding, category, and teams. Okay. So coding can consider as constant comparative. Then after that, the second layer is categorize. Then after that, you need to do thematic, which is like you want to look in the relationship between your teams. Okay, this one I will explain later. Okay, so this is a cat. We have a co refer to coding, car refer to category, and team refer to team. Okay, what is a code? Okay, what is a code? Okay, code or coding refer to a keyword. Refer to a keyword. Okay, maybe for this one, I will share you. Okay. Okay. Just imagine this is your data, yeah. Just imagine this is your data. This is we call as transcribe. Okay, this is we call as transcribe. Then if let's say you notice over here, I'm write what we call it the keyword. For example, just imagine that this is a keyword, yeah. This is we call as a coding. This coding actually refer to your research question. Okay. For example, just imagine this is this is a transcribe. Then after that, you what we call it, you give the highlight. For example, this is we call as a coding. This one. Coding refer to keyword. Okay, refer to the keyword. Okay. Sometimes you can do like this. Okay, this one example for coding. Okay, coding. Okay, get it? So that one we call as a coding. Okay, so for coding, as mentioned before, you need to read the transcript. Then after that, based on the transcript, you need to find the keyword, answer your research question. So this is we call as a coding. Okay, so coding, the code are given meaningful name. Okay, relate to the code topic. Okay, so for sure, for the first interviews, for example, you will notice that they have a lot of code. Okay. Then for the second one is category. After you already finish your first coding, first interview, for example, the second one, you can compare the first interview and also the second interview. Okay. So what is categorize? Okay, categorize refer to after open coding. Okay, so you already make a list of a code, right? Then after that, you need to cluster together similar code and look for redundant codes. Okay, so the objective of category, we want to reduce the long list code to a smaller, more manageable numbers. It can be like 24, 25, or 30. Okay, so this is we call as category. And the third one is the last stage for QDA, which is we call as a team, which is like the process of looking for category to that cut across code, which is like category must be definition that comprise the code include under that. Okay, after categorize, you can identify team. So team should answer the research question of your study. So this is what we call it. You need to remember that your team should answer your research question. Okay. Okay. Your team should reflect the purpose of your research, which is like this one refer to answer your research question. Okay. Okay, so this one should be no problem. Okay. So I already explained in terms of what is coding, category, and team. So next one is a step by step. Okay, step by step how to do your data analysis. Okay, for information, for this step, you need to explain in chapter 3 how you manage your data analysis. Okay, so for this one, we have a 6 step. For the first one is sorting and prepare the data. I already explained, already read you guys, which is like we have 6. Read entire data, coding, category, team, and interpret. Okay, so sorting and prepare the data. So in terms of prepare, you need to what we call it, prepare the raw data and transcribe. It can be voice recording and video. If let's say you have a photo, maybe you can what we call it, save together. So if let's say you have a field note, for example, okay. So for the first step, you need to sorting and prepare the data. Okay. Now, what is transcribe? Okay, transcribe, as mentioned before, transcribe refer to, you need to listen to voice recording. Okay, again, it depends. During my time, for sure, I need to use a music player, right? And convert your voice recording into the written document. If let's say your informant during that time batuk, coach, for example, maybe you can include, if let's say your informant laughing, for example, ha 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 ha, for sure you need to include. Okay, so this is we call as transcribing. Okay, the process of transcribing actually first step in QDA, which is like qualitative analysis. So for example, convert data in the form of audio recording, content interview, focus group discussion, video recording, and field note. Okay. The process also required full attention, time, and patience during the transcribing. Okay. So that's why I in terms of how many, what we call it, the best time for conduct the interview session during my time before, 45 is enough. If let's say you let your informant to talk until 2 hours, for example, can you imagine? They have a lot of data. I believe that maybe you are not good enough in terms of to control or moderate the session. Okay. And also when you do transcribe, actually you will notice that what we call it, it will improve you in terms of asking the question for the next informant. Okay. So this is based what we call, so this is in terms of the manually. I believe that right now we have AI, right? So it can be, it is what we call it. Maybe you will ask, doctor, can we use AI, doctor? But again, yeah, I cannot answer on that question. Okay, but again, if let's say you want to use AI, for example, maybe you need to explain in your thesis. Okay, which AI that you use for your transcript and so on. For sure, you cannot depend totally 100% on AI, but you need to check and so on. But again, you need to discuss with your supervisor. Is it he or she a lot or not? Right? Alright, then after that, okay, this is example in terms of doing your transcript. You need to write your name, write interviewee, interviewer, date and location. And after that, write minute, a good practice, easy to recheck. But if let's say you do a manually, if let's say, if some word inaudible, you can write XXX. Because you need to remember that after you finish write your transcript, for example, you need to give this transcript to your informant. That one we call as a member check. Okay, member check is one of the how to make sure your data is valid or not. Okay, I will explain later on at the end. Okay, because I have a slide on that. Okay, so this is example in terms of transcribe. Then after that, how to organize your data? Again, maybe you need to have one folder. For example, you need to naming your informant and so on. All right, because sometimes examiner will ask you, can you show how you manage your data? Can you show in your laptop, for example, your informant, all the information? Because you need to remember, for organized data also, you need to explain in your chapter 3 how you will organize your data. All right. Okay, in this folder for information, I have a audio recording, transcript, original transcript, open coding, and also all information about the informant. Okay, then after that, for second step, you need to read the entire data. Okay, okay, after you finish your transcript, you need to read your data, which is transcript. How many time? Okay, how many of you? Okay, now I'm asking you, how many time to read your transcript? Maybe you can put in your chat box. Oh, 3. Is it 3? Okay, yeah. Sabrina, many, many, many. Ruzima, so many time. Okay, for your information, you need to read your transcript until you feel want to vomit. Blech. Until your data can, what we call it, as long as your data can, you already know. Okay, after this, what data will inform you. For example, you already know. Okay. Right. So this is what we call it. You need to read the data. Okay, you need to read data until the data can, what we call it, the data talk to you back. Something like that. Okay, the data can talk to you back. Okay, so this is what we call it. You need to read the data. And then after that, for the next one is you need to familiar with the data, because you need to remember that. Can you imagine if, let's say, your data, you have a 5 or 8 informant or 9 informant or 10 informant, for example, for sure you have a lot of data. So that's why if, let's say, you conduct by your own self, you can remember, I remember that informant number 1 mentioned about this, informant number 2 mentioned about this. So that's why you need to familiar with your data. You need to listen the audio recording. You need to rewatch the video, for example, if let's say you need to read and read and read. Okay, it is easy for you to do coding later, COCAT. Okay, so this is I just share how I manage my data before. Based on my transcript, if let's say not relevant, not answer my research question, I just red color, which is like, oh, this is not important, will not answer my research question. It is easy for me. But again, it depends on you. Okay, how you want standardize. Okay, the next one is after you read and so on, you can start doing your coding. Okay, so because you need to remember that most important part of data reduction when you start doing coding. Okay, so for coding, for sure you need to read your transcript. So that's why I'm asking you how many times until your data can speak to you. Okay, so this is the process coding. You need to write the sentence. Okay, then read all the data. Okay, this one I already shared with you in terms of example, right? I just shared with you before. So this is considered as a coding. Okay, again, your coding should answer your research question. Okay, so after you do coding, the next one is you need to do categorize. Okay, categorize. After you listing the coding and so on, okay, you need to group together similar code and redundant code. Then after that, in terms of the objective of category, we want to reduce the long list of code. Okay, and for your information, for categorize, also this stage very important to define your data saturation, which is what is data saturation? No new information. No new information in your data. No new information of data. Okay, what is data saturation? Okay, data saturation refer to when nothing new is being added. Okay, for example, itulah macam tak sempat pula dah 12:30. Okay, later on lah, later. If let's say we have some time, I mean, I will give you example. Okay, so for data saturation, for example, if let's say we look at the Creswell, no longer find new information that aid the understanding of the category. For example, I'm asking you in terms of the question, what is a favorite food among UPM student? Okay, for example, Puan Linda mentioned about chicken rice shop. Okay, the next one, siapa nak share dengan saya? What is your favorite food? Okay, Puan Linda is a chicken rice shop. Chicken rice. Chicken rice shop pula. Tiba-tiba promote. Chicken rice. How about rest? Siapa nak bantu saya?
Previously, I think one participant said nasi lemak.
Okay, we have nasi lemak, chicken rice, nasi lemak. Okay, what else?
Sabrina, asam pedas.
Asam pedas. We have a pizza. Okay, what else? Mi soup. Okay, what else?
Biryani.
Biryani. Okay, next.
French
Okay.
fries.
Okay,
Nasi
now.
kerabu.
Okay.
Okay.
Ayam gepuk. Maybe we can stop at ayam gepuk. Okay, stop.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, nasi daging. Okay. Soup. Okay. Now, okay, lapar, hungry. Okay, maybe we can stop our finding. Okay, because I want to share you how to make sure your data is saturated or not. Because, okay, based on your sharing here, I believe that this is your coding. Can you imagine this is your coding? We have chicken rice. We have nasi lemak, asam pedas, pizza, biryani, mi soup, french fries, nasi kerabu, ayam cincang, ayam gepuk. Then we have a kari kepala ikan, nasi daging, soup, biryani, nasi ayam. Okay, this is we call as a coding. Now, what you need to do, for category, you need to try to combine. Okay, for example, Nur Diana mentioned about nasi ayam. Same like Puan Linda. So, we have a categorized nasi. Okay, so if let's say we look at here, we already have a group nasi here or rice over here. So, if let's say we look at, apa namanya? Biryani also nasi, can consider under rice. Then after that, nasi kerabu under rice. Ayam gepuk under rice. Nasi daging under rice. Okay. So, biryani also repeated data. Okay. Okay. Can you imagine right now, you already developed one category, which is rice. Okay. Now, we look for the next category. We have a pizza. Okay, pizza, french fries can consider under Western food. Okay, now nasi is okay. You put first nasi. Okay, maybe nasi can consider as Malaysian food. Okay, we have a Malaysian food. Okay, you change the category in terms of Malaysian food. Then after that, pizza, french fries under a Western food, for example. Soup. Soup mana ni? Soup Malaysia ke soup apa? So right now you can right now you can understand that category. Right now you have two category. Is it Malaysian food or Western food? But again, if let's say you feel that, doctor, can I grouping by rice, for example? Yes, you can. You category by rice first. The second group you categorize by noodle, for example, because we have mi soup here. Mi soup here, alright? Then after that, you want to categorize. The third one is what we call it under what? Pizza, fast food. Is it considered as a fast food or based on the break, for example? So again, how to naming your categorize based on your idea. Again, how to get that idea based on your literature review, based on your finding. So that's why in qualitative, you are researcher, you are the main instrument. Huh? Okay, you get it? Okay, so based on this, you feel that your data already saturated, no new information. Okay, and suddenly, we have a bakso soup. Maybe bakso soup can consider under noodle or not. If let's say they have a bihun, for example. Okay. Siamese soup. Pandai kau Sabar dulu. Soup tu jangan international lagi. So,
International cuisine.
itulah. Don't. Okay. For example, so what we call it? So, for categorize, for example, you as a researcher, you will decide which group and so on. And then after that, you feel that, oh, this is not suitable. You want to mention something, for example, right now, this is we call as how you categorize your finding. You start with rice first because chicken rice, nasi lemak, nasi biryani, for example, you group under category. Okay. Then after that, you feel that when based on your finding, no new information. And suddenly, when you notice that Mr. Anwar mentioned about Siamese soup, it can be like you want to you want to use that data or not. Because remember, you are the main researcher. You feel that I don't want Siamese soup. Okay. And after that, we have a kebab and Arabic food. For example, kebab. This is a new finding. Alright. If let's say you collect your data again and again, you feel that kebab over here, is it kebab can consider as, can you put under French fries and also pizza, for example? Okay, so you need to name that category. Okay, and you feel that when based on your data, for example, no new information, then you can stop your data collection. Okay. So this is how you need to report your data situation. Okay. In this study, the 5 informant have achieved data situation where no new information, and then the researcher decide to stop doing data collection. Okay. So this is like how you need to report your what we call data situation. Okay. After you done your categorize, you need to identify your team. Okay. So in terms of your team, for example, the team should answer your research question. So that's why if let's say we have noodle, we have rice, for example, then after that you can group them again to develop a new teams. Is it Malaysian food or international food? Because we have a kebab, we have pizza, for example. Alright. So how to naming your team? Again, it can be based on you as a researcher or based on the participant or based on the literature. Okay. So name your how to what we call it how to naming your team. For example, again, how to make sure your team is okay or not. Maybe you can refer to your expert or you can discuss with your supervisor. Okay. So and also you can provide the visual data to display. Okay, and then after that, you can making the comparison with the literature. Okay, so this is like, maybe you can try to look, if let's say you look at qualitative data, qualitative research, you will notice that after you discuss about your finding and so on, they will provide you a diagram, for example, to show the finding, which is like, for example, this one considered as a theme and this one the categories. Okay, theme and categories, theme and categories. Okay. Okay, so for the report, I will explain later. I think this one very important. Okay, this one very important. Okay, how to report your finding? How to report qualitative for your chapter 4? Okay, you will notice that when you want to do when you want to do qualitative data analysis, you start with a coding, category, and themes, right? Coding, category, and theme. But when you want to do a report in chapter 4, you need to start with theme first. Then after that, category and coding. So your coding actually over here. Your coding actually refer to your evidence. Okay, so this is how you need to report, how you to write your chapter 4 letter. Alright? Okay, so this is a tips. Only 2 or mixed 3 evidence for each category. Okay, again, for your thesis, if let's say you share everything, for sure your thesis will be very thick. Okay, but again, for me, for your thesis, for example, maybe you can put for evidence only 2 or 3. Okay, for sure your examiner will ask you the code book. Maybe you have a what we call it for you, you have a you need to prepare the code book in terms of to manage your coding category and themes. Okay. So the next one is qualitative data analysis. We have a software. We have a software for qualitative. But again, if let's say you not familiar, if let's say you are not expert for coding, category, and theme, you do not have a knowledge in terms of to do COCAT, for example, you will struggle using the software. So if let's say you ask me, can we use manually? Should be no problem. You can do manually. But again, for this software will help you to manage your data. That's it. Because you need to remember that how to come out your coding, how to come out your category, how to naming your theme based on you. Because you are the researcher, you are the main researcher. Okay? So, you get my idea in terms of can we use software, doctor? Yes, you can. But again, software just help you to manage your data. But again, to do coding, to do category and theme are based on your, what we call it, based on researcher. Okay? So, this is a software that you can use for, if let's say, because for information, I'm an Vivo user. If let's say, what we call it, we have Atlas in Malaysia. What can I say that in Malaysia, we have Vivo and Atlas. Should be no problem. But again, this is like, you need to have a skill in terms of how to know coding, category, and theme. That's it. Okay? Okay, so this is example, yeah. Example in terms of, this is, just imagine that this is the research question. The unveil the possible function of outreach teenagers health clinic. Okay, you just imagine that this is the open coding, which is like the finding you get. Okay, we have pregnancy, smoking, self-esteem, misinformed, peer pressure, time, staff attribute, sexual behavior, alcohol, stress, understanding, own belief, venue, conducive setting. So you already get the idea, right? Your coding might be different. Your informant answer or data might be different from informant 1, informant 2, and informant 3. Okay, so you will facing with all this data. Okay, so step 2, what you need to do, you need to categorize. Okay, now this is your, this is your role as a main researcher. You need to do group them. For example, pregnancy and sexual behavior, use group under sexual health. For smoking and alcohol, under drugs. Self-esteem and stress, under mental health. For misinformed and also understanding, for under lack of knowledge. Peer pressure, on belief, under attitude, time and venue, under availability. And also staff attribute and also conductive setting, under approachability. So, for the next one is a theme. So, which is like based on the category, for category, as I mentioned before, this is, you will notice that your data is already saturated or not. Okay, then after that, once you feel that, your data already saturated, no new information, then you can try to grouping. So, sexual health, drug and mental health, you can group, then you can name your themes. For example, over here, health issue for young people. Okay, then after that, lack of knowledge and attribute, grouping under barrier or accessing services. And after that, for availability and approachability, so this is under incentive to use services. So this is the process how to do COCAT from coding, category, and theme. You get it? Alright, so this one already explained to you, a good practice in QDA. I hope that you guys already get the idea. Based on the data collection, transcribe, after that open coding. Okay, then after that we have a data collection for the second one. Alright, then after that we have transcribe and open coding. Categorize. Then we have a data collection for the third one. Okay, we have a transcribe of coding and category. And then after that, you need to do theme. Okay, so this is a good practice of QDA. I hope that you guys already get an idea. Okay, can I play one video? Okay, you will facing this one later. Is it okay?
Yes, please.
All right. So this is an example in term of when you will dealing in term of like to do coding category and themes. Okay, I will play one video here.
Tak dengar lah doktor sound dia. Ada music ke? Ada bunyi-bunyi ke?
Yes, tak dengar eh?
Tak.
Okay, it's okay. I believe that it's okay. No need to just look at the video. Is it okay? Okay, boleh eh? No, it's okay. No sound should be no problem. I just want you see the process. Okay? Alright. Okay, maybe. All right. I believe that no sound, right? But you can see the pitch, I mean the video, right? Okay. Okay, for information, this is we call as the process when you are doing COCAT. Okay, when you are doing coding category and theme. So for sure during that time you will arrange, okay, I feel that this data belong to this category, this coding belong to this category. No. That category will put what we call it, that code you need to do something. So this is what we call it represent in term of your coding, COCAT and theme. Okay, I mean coding category and themes. So I hope that you guys already get the idea in term of the COCAT. Okay. So, but we still are not finished yet. Okay, for this one, maybe should be no problem. Okay, the technicians and representative should be no problem for this one. Okay, the last one before we finish, because we have another 15 minutes. 15 minutes, yeah. So, in terms of validity and reliability in qualitative research, how to make sure your finding, is it valid and so on. Because sometimes for quantitative person, quantitative researcher, they will ask you, how to make sure your finding is valid, how to make sure your finding is correct. Okay, So that's why this is the what we call it. Yeah, during my time, for sure, we need to justify, right? So this is what we call it. How to make sure your finding is a valid and reliability in qualitative. You need to remember that we have 5 types. How to make sure your finding is valid or reliability. For number 1 is triangulation. Okay, so I believe that I already explained to you what is triangulation. Based on you just not using interview, but again you use observation, you use document analysis, which is like your finding is a base interview, observation, and also document analysis. So that's why if let's say you use 3 methods, for example, you can declare that your finding, what we call in terms of the valid in your study, for example, because you are using triangulation. And after that, you can explain in terms of investigator position, because for this one, maybe you need to declare during your master, for example, if let's say you conduct quali, for example, you have experience in terms of doing transcribe, you have experience in terms of conduct the interview session, for example, okay, or you have experience involved in qualitative research, for example, so you can explain in investigator position, and also you can explain in terms of like you attend uh class, for example, for qualitative basic. After that, we have advanced qualitative, for example, okay, which is like you have you are to declare that you are main researcher, what we call it, in terms of how to develop, how to come up with a coding category and themes, okay. And after that, for number 3 is a peer review. What is a peer review? A peer review is not like you ask your friend to review your finding. No, that one is not a peer review, but peer review can consider as expert. Your supervisor community or expert in that field, that one considered as a peer review, which is like after you come up with a coding category and themes, right? You have table on that. Maybe you can to check either your finding is a valid and so on. For example, you can ask expert to check your finding. Is it correct in terms of your theme, your category and coding, for example? So that one we call as a peer review. And after that, member check. What is a member check? Member check also not your friend check your data. No. Okay. Member check refer to after you finish your transcribe. Okay, you already finish your transcript, right? You already listen, you already check, make sure all the words already in what we call it in your transcript. The transcript you need to give to your informant. When you give to your informant, for example, to check either they are missing or not. Do you remember that we have XXX, which is like namanya inaudible man, inaudible tadi? Okay, bukan yang ini. Okay, for example, this one. Okay, so for member chat, for example, for sure you will facing that during the interview session, maybe you feel that your voice recorder will capture that voice and so on, all the information. However, maybe for sure they have some word inaudible, so you can write XXX. So when you go back to your informant, for example, mana tadi? When you going back to your informant, okay, when you going back to the informant to check your transcript, so that's mean that one we consider as a member check, which is like your informant already confirm the transcript is correct. If let's say inaudible XX, for example, maybe he or she will remember, they will correct the information, for example, what is SS or what is missing. Okay, at the same time also, based on the coding category and theme, also you can, this is a good practice if let's say you going back to your informant to check in terms of your interpret and so on. That one considered as a member check. And the last one is audit trail. Audit trail, this is refer like your, what we call it, what is your plan? Is it happen or not? Or something like that, okay? Audit trail, this is refer to what is your plan? Okay, in terms of starting your title, starting your data collection, data analysis, for example. Okay, so this is like more to diary. Okay, audit trail can consider as a like diary. Okay, like you need to report what is your plan. Is it achieve or not. So what your counter in terms of to make sure your research is ongoing, for example. Okay, so this is a type of procedure validity and reliability in qualitative. Okay, so maybe this one should be no problem in terms of valid and reliability. I don't want to explain because this one you already learned in research method class. Alright. Okay, so in terms of validity, we have internal and external validity. Okay, strategy, as I mentioned before, we have a triangulation. Um, you need to clarify your research bias and also member check, okay, peer review, alright. Okay, for this one, reliability in terms of consistent. So this one also you will, for sure you already learn in research method class. Okay, investigator position, peer review, and also audit trail. Okay, so as I mentioned before, audit trail, a lot of researcher to retrace the process by which the researcher arrived in the final finding. All right, thank you everyone. So I can finish 10 minutes before 1 p.m.
Okay, it's already finished for the sessions, but we are not yet finished because there will be, I think, about another 6 questions to be answered.
Oh, okay. So
Okay.
still not finished.
We are not finished yet, doctor. Okay, so the
Alright.
first question is Anusha. Which type is observation is best for mixed method or quasi
What
experiment?
side?
Have three group of classroom, 2 treatment, 1
One
traditional.
traditional. Which type? Okay. Ni Anusha, better you need to apa? Study. Okay, in term of which observation suitable for your study. Because if let's say, okay, you refer in term of student, right, at school, is it? Is it?
Yes, yes, doctor.
Which age, if let's say you can share?
Form 2, 14.
Oh, form 2. You need to remember that sometime for student, for example, maybe we can flashback. Maybe we will remember at school during when our teacher give they come to class and want to start teaching, right? And suddenly we have another teacher come together. That time we as a student feel like all behave. Alright. So you need to remember that for sure, if let's say you do observation, what we call it, you involve with that student, for example, they know maybe they will behave. But again, if let's say you have a repeated, maybe you will come to the school and so on. I mean, doing observation, participant observation, for example, maybe for the first or second session they will behave, that student will behave, then after that the rest after that they will keluar dia punya all the original dia punya behavior. Okay, so this is what we call it. Okay, wow, sampai my MacBook dah habis battery for 4 hours, yeah. Wait, I need to switch. Okay, then after that, so this is like what we call it. You need to decide which one is suitable for your case, because you need to remember that student at school totally different. They feel that they have a newcomer, for example. So who is she? So they will. You need to consider on that. Okay.
Okay, so number 2, from Nur Atika. If you don't mind sharing to us which analysis software is customer friendly. I mean, based on its interface, easy to use or maybe free or paid version.
Okay. Atika ni my student ni untuk research method class. Yang ni saya cerita dalam kelas lah, boleh? Okay, because this is a public, because I'm quite worried if let's say I share something here. Yeah. Again, because as I mentioned before, I'm using Envivo, right? For sure, when I compare Envivo and Atlas TI, for sure I feel that Envivo is user friendly. But again, as Atlas TI, for sure they have their own opinion. But again, it depends on you. So if let's say you want to use analysis software, for example, maybe you can use what we call it, you can try to attend Envivo and also at the Atlas. Mostly, for sure, paid version. You need to have what we call it, you need to use your own money lah. And mostly, what can I say that for Envivo, if I'm not mistaken, you need to pay for 2 years, for example, you can get 1 license. But again, for that one, Natika, for Natika, nanti I will explain in our class lah. Which one? Because this is public, I cannot. I
It's
mean,
okay, Doctor. I think
now.
general you already give your
Yeah, yeah.
opinion. I think. Okay.
Okay.
So number
So
3 is Yu Pui Kwan. Should we do data analysis after every interview or collect all the data first, then only sit down and analyze all 12 interview at one go?
this is a good question. Okay. Do you remember that I share with you a good practice of a QDA? Okay, if let's say you look at this, the process, you start with the first informant, you're going back, you do transcribe, you do open coding, you go to the second one, you repeat the task, transcribe, open coding, and you can do category because you have a two informant, right? Informant one and number two. Then after that, you go to number three, informant number three. But again, they have a pro and cons. I know that if let's say student, they like to, okay, one week I want to do data collection, I want to go interview. But again, sometimes you feel that your data already saturated on 8 informant. Just example, yeah. You already collect your data 15, 1, 5. When you do data collection, I mean when you want to do what we call it, when you want to do the analysis, you notice that on 8 informant, your data already saturated, which is like you already waste your time to collect data on 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, which is like 7 informant, you already waste your time. Which is actually, that's why as I mentioned before, the best practice, you collect data, you analyze, you collect data, you analyze, you collect your data, analyze. Which is like at the same time will improve your data, what we call it, will improve your interview skill and so on. You will notice that, oh, this one, I should answer. I will answer what we call. I will start this question for the next one, for example. Okay. I hope that you, Pui Kuen, I'll answer your question.
Okay, number 4. Actually, Doctor, the question is getting tambah. Okay.
Alamak, tambah pula.
Okay, number 4, we go very quickly. Sabrina, I understand that you mentioned categories is up to the researcher and to seek advice from supervisor, but ultimately, do we need to support the category with past study?
Okay. Sabrina, maybe you need to understand what is inductive study. Okay, because when you conduct the qualitative, as I mentioned before, we want to explore.
Alah,
Sometimes,
nanti pukul 1 kalau ada soalan lagi cakap dia kita. Sorry, Doktor.
okay. Okay, itulah kita nak pukul 1 dah ni. Okay, I just,
Ah,
kita tengok-tengok soalan Okay, for your information, siapa nama tadi? Sabrina. What purpose we are conduct qualitative? Because we want to explore a new finding. So, if let's say you want to compare with past study, macam like, what purpose you are doing qualitative? Okay, because if let's say you do qualitative, for example, sometime you will get a new information. You will create a new finding. That's why we conduct qualitative. Alright, get it? Okay.
okay. So we
Next.
go number 5. Chan, Doctor, where do we get predefined codes from existing research finding keywords, or can we create on our own?
Okay, for Chan question, yes, you can use all research finding, or you can create your own. Because again, when you want to start a code based on your research question. So this is like, I believe that as a novice researcher in qualitative, what you can do, can you imagine, yeah? This is your transcript and this is your, just imagine this is your transcript. Make sure beside you, you have a RQ here, which is your RQ here, and this is your transcript. So you need, kena letak dia dekat, what we call, you can put aside, which is like when you do read your transcript, you can refer to your research question. Okay, you can refer your research question. Okay, so when you will start doing your, alamak, Chan lah terkeluar lah pula.
Chan.
Dia baru terkeluar. So,
Dia-
so this is like what we call one of the example, which is like you need to do when
Okay, dia baru masuk, Doktor. Dia dah masuk dah.
Kalau dah masuk dah tak apa. Nanti dia akan tengoklah kot dia punya
Ah,
recording. Alright, so could based on the literature, it can be based on your idea. You feel that, oh, this could answer your research question. Okay, you can try to put first. Should be no problem.
Okay, so number 6 is Ayesha. How many of reliability method required? Do we have to use all of them?
If let's say you can use all of them, you can use. So that's why if let's say you want to, for example, in your study, you just use interview and observation, or you just interview and document analysis, for example. So
Okay.
you cannot use a triangulation. So you have
Oh.
to check either which one is you can what we call it to report on that. Okay.
Okay, so number 7, Zul Nurul. What if during member checks, the informant said that they didn't mention something in our subscription? Do we need to redo the interview, or we can proceed with it because it is the one being recorded?
Yes, because dah recorded dah.
Yeah, being recorded already. So
Okay,
we
should
have
be
to
no
proceed lah.
problem. Yes,
Okay.
correct.
So
Okay.
number 9 is Sarah. What are common mistakes student makes in data analysis that I should avoid? Sarah.
Mana tak ada Sarah dia soalan
Sarah,
dia.
Sarah dia dekat bawah sekali. Dia dah second last bawah.
Alright. Doctor, can we comment? Okay, what a common mistake? Data analysis. That's why the common mistake in terms of data analysis, because you need to remember when we mention about data analysis in qualitative, involved with a data collection. Because quantitative, if let's say you remember the linear and also the cyclical, for quantitative, if let's say you distribute your questionnaire, that one considered as data collection. But in qualitative, data collection and data analysis are the same phase. And what to avoid the mistake, if let's say you collect data in one time. For me, that one is, it's not mistake lah. It's not the best practice. Alright?
So actually this is the last one, but this is not the question for you. But in front, Rabia asking, Doctor, we want you again on the webinar with the topic of use of en vivo and TI. So this question is actually for the host, okay?
Yo.
So for the host, okay, I will answer that one for Rabia. Rabia, if let's say currently we doesn't have any topic on en vivo and Atlas TI. So after this, maybe we can discuss later with Doctor if Dr. Nur Raihan free. Okay, we try to discuss first. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So
Alright. Okay,
okay.
maybe we already finished, right?
Okay, so right now we already finished. Okay, so now, okay, we are really at the end of our session. So Alhamdulillah, okay, we already come to the end of our sessions. So thank you for everyone that are staying throughout, okay, the whole seminar. So before we wrap up, so can we have a picture with all of
Please.
you for Dr. Nur Raihan? Okay, is it okay? So can you all please open your
Hi
video?
Muhammad. Hi
So we want
Nurul,
to
Nadia.
look at all of you. Okay.
Oh, okay. Hi. Ramainya muka kita kenal. Hi everyone.
So maybe one among the participants is your students or whatever. So can we have okay, so give your very brightest smiles, okay? 3, 2, 1. And then another one again.
Okay.
Another one.
Can I request everyone, you need to do like this. This is a jagung.
Yeah, sure.
Please?
Well, we can. So maybe if you follow, then we can ask Dr. Narham for next session. Okay,
Okay, please do like this.
Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Okay,
Alright.
so before I close our session, so thank you everyone again. Okay, we hope that this session has been insightful. Okay, for you all, and you gain valuable knowledge and that can be useful in your academic journey and your research work. Our sincere appreciation goes to our speaker, Dr. Nur Raihan Cik Nawi, for the clear and meaningful sessions sharing today. Your expertise and insight are truly appreciated. Thank you again. Thank you once again to all the participants, to your time and engagement. We hope to see you again in our future program and have a great day ahead. Thank you so much, everyone. So we end our session. So
Thank you. Bye-bye.
from the what we call that host itself, okay, UPM Library and SGS. Thank you so much. Take care.
Okay, Doctor. Thank you. See you
Thank
after.
you, everyone. See
Okay.
you.
Have a class.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. All the best for your research journey.
Thank you so much,
Amin.
Doc.
Thank you,
Dr.
Doctor.
Raihan, nanti Dr. Raihan stay sekejap.
Boleh, boleh,
Stay.
boleh.
Dr. Nur Raihan stay. Okay, you can, all of you, if you have something else, you can just definitely leave our sessions. It's okay. So I have something with Dr. Raihan. Okay?